Officers Committee, please come to order. Has everyone looked at the minutes?
No, I'm looking at it.
Well, would you please look at the minutes?
I certainly will if I have a copy.
Somebody stole your copy.
Okay. Sorry.
We have enough copies for people.
We did.
Yeah, we have some guesses, okay.
I can make more. What do you want?
Does everybody have a copy of the package?
Now I do.
All right, why don't we make some more? Sure.
I'll do it. Sure?
Yeah. And told reliably that we are in fact, we appear to have reconstituted the record capability,
Okay, good.
which is very nice.
I want to leave the door open.
Any corrections to the minutes? So here we no corrections. Any corrections? Has everybody had a chance to look at the minutes?
Okay.
Wait another minute.
I got a question about,
Of course.
what, when we came to my proposing 5-minute limit, what was the outcome of
The
that?
five on
We went back,
speaking.
no, we went
Back
back
to
to,
three?
yeah, we said we were sticking to 3 because the chair wanted it that way,
Okay,
with the exception of.
You're talking about delegate assembly?
that's correct.
Yeah,
Um,
Bob, I have the recording if you want to listen to it. You brought it up, but then, and the discussion was, it's up to the chair.
Okay,
I mean, there was quite a bit of discussion around it, but
yeah,
bottom line, it's up to the chair.
that's per Robert's rules,
Yeah.
but I thought that we were allowing 5 minutes for officers and 3 minutes for,
yes, for officers, it's 5.
If you want that, then you have to put it in because you guys keep fluctuating.
But go
I
ahead.
follow and he follows what you say. Robert's rules are not law. They are Robert's
I
rules.
understand.
They're a guideline.
You had said to me, and I got a lot of enemies because of it, but I don't really care. 3 minutes was the limit for everyone, including you. 3 minutes was the limit. If you want to change it to 5, it's your
All
opinion.
right.
It's up to you.
A
I
strict
think
5.
you can almost forget Robert's rules. There's some nonsense about 10 minutes and 2 bites at
It
the
doesn't
apple.
mean you have to follow.
I
Robert's
understand.
rules.
The
Which you
chair
don't.
can make the,
What's going on?
Got some seats back
Who's
here.
sitting over here?
nobody.
Who is
We
it?
need that. Isabel, come on in.
I think the chair can make the determination
Exactly.
at the beginning of the meeting.
No, in general, it
Okay.
is up to you to decide what you want at these meetings. When we come to the decision, we have to stick with it. We can't keep going 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 3 minutes.
I got you.
What you say is
So where
what
did
we
we-
have to abide by.
Where did we leave it?
3 minutes. We voted, if you noticed, and you read the minutes,
But there wasn't a vote.
there was.
That's why I asked.
No, there
I don't
wasn't.
recall a vote.
No, there was
We
no vote.
did, we voted before,
Not this meeting.
so every meeting you don't have to vote. We voted before for 3 minutes.
You know, this is a little tricky.
Okay,
You want to cut the commissioner off?
no, I said, except, read your minutes.
You
It
want to
says-
cut the cops off at 3 minutes?
No,
Listen,
It's not.
it wasn't my idea, it was yours.
Oh,
And in the minutes, it says with the exception of Greg Rice. It's up to you. Don't make me look like the bad guy all the time. If you want
No.
3 minutes or 5 minutes,
as
so
far
be
as the
it.
cops, I give them as much time as they need.
yeah, I always do.
It's not a big deal.
And that detective or Lieutenant Monaf,
He recognized me. and I-
he has a lot to say.
Yeah, but I do got a little expansion there, but I'll bring it up later.
Okay.
All right.
Doc,
As I said at the last meeting, I'm going to propose the speech limits. When you are speaking officially, as an official, not an individual, you can get 5 minutes. If you are speaking individually, you get 3. if you, as the chairman, establish speech limits, it is for that meeting only. If the assembly establishes speech limits, it is for every assembly sequentially.
Gotcha.
That's in Robert's rules,
Yes,
but Robert's rules is not law. The chair always has the right,
for that meeting,
but
that's what I
even the
just,
assembly, he doesn't have.
All right, folks,
that's what I just said.
Okay,
I'm sorry I brought it up.
no,
don't be sorry,
it's fine to bring it up,
has to be.
but we don't want to immerse ourselves in a matter of such infinite importance.
Well,
These are decisions, I'm telling you, I make them on the dais
okay,
as what seems reasonable,
okay.
right? I'm not gonna cut off the commission. I'm not gonna cut off an officer who has something important to say. That
So
might,
then why did we cut him off then?
well, he was going to 8, 9, 10, whatever.
All right.
There are limits. Can't go on forever, right?
I just would like to recognize Isabel Rodriguez, our new representative from AMR.
Oh,
We have
excellent.
two
Hi.
people here.
Okay.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Isabel is number 2 on the agenda, but we haven't dispensed with the minutes.
Make a motion that we accept the minutes as presented.
Okay, that's fair enough.
I agree.
Any objection?
No.
Minutes accepted as presented.
Okay,
Isabel, do you have card?
We have a heavy agenda and each officer can make his own decisions, but I'm gonna skip my report because we got a lot of items down here that are gonna generate lots of discussion.
Okay,
And I don't wanna be here 3 hours. So,
we'll proceed.
I'm gonna proceed to apparently the treasurer's report.
I'm supposed to have a
You're
report.
gonna go first.
It's not
We're
critical.
waiting on Donald for the newspaper. We need a decision for him to get his report in.
Okay,
And it
you're on a
has to be
timeline.
done by
And what
Monday.
item is that?
That's flock safety.
Oh, boy, okay. Okay, who's here from Flock Safety? No.
No one.
No one is here.
Donald.
Has anyone contacted PBSO?
I've made that contact.
I don't want to hear an endorsement necessarily, but do they use it and are they happy?
The answer is yes. They don't use it. The communities that purchase it use it and make it available to the various law enforcement. The one I heard from most recently was the town of Palm Beach, which uses an analog of Flock for the whole island. If you're driving a car and you have your own car and you have a driver's license that's expired, you won't get 3 blocks off that bridge.
Yeah, I know they have cameras there. I hope everyone has read the Flock handout.
Mhm.
This is not a postage stamp expense item. And I'm thinking that the consensus is a camera on the in lane, a camera on the out lane. And almost certainly it would be foolish not to integrate PBSO. It just makes sense.
Uh-huh.
You know, you have a wanted person who uses a vehicle. Not overwhelmingly sure that 70% of felons use vehicles, but I'll accept what the kid said. And so mindful of the expense,
Mhm.
as I understand it, correct me if I'm wrong, $2,400 per camera on the in-go side and $1,900 on the out-go
That's correct.
side. That's per year?
Yes.
Of course.
Okay, so that's not staggering. There's a $350
Installation.
first one-time charge for installation. All right. Any comment, please?
I think it's a great idea. It's for the safety of the people in here, not necessarily that a felon is going to get in, but we have a lot of nuts in here already. So it's, if they do something, they try to escape by their car, whatever you have it. I think it's a great idea. I voted for it and I hope everyone else will too.
All
It's a
right.
drop in the bucket.
Dave, I could give a brief.
Well,
I think it's a great idea as well.
Mhm.
But some of you may remember, I did the most horrible thing imaginable. I
Right.
put the gate camera feed on the sidebar of my block. And everybody was yelling at me, oh, Hitler, Nazi, 1984.
What do you care?
They're tracking my comings and goings.
So don't put it on the blog?
This is that act in spades.
So don't put it on the
Because
blog.
your essence, you're tracking every plate that comes in and out of this place.
So,
Okay, I just want to remind you how some people are gonna take this.
why do we have to put it on the blog?
Big Brother is what, you wanna
And we're
keep
not.
it, you're gonna keep it secret?
No, it's not a secret. You're just not going to put it on the
Oh,
blog.
no, I understand. I
The
won't.
thing is that it's our decision. It's a safety issue. You
Okay,
know why we decided. And I don't care what people say. If they have
Gotcha.
something to hide, shame on them.
all right. Would someone, for the sake of not having to go through discussion again, make a motion?
I'll make, yeah,
What does that mean?
That's what I'm making.
Go ahead.
to Accept this.
That we accept flop.
Yes, all right.
I'll
But I also-
second it.
But I also have a question.
Motion is second. Okay, so now we're in discussion. Go, Bob.
Okay.
Who seconded it?
I did.
Okay,
Also.
go
All
ahead.
right, the question I have is, do they flag stolen vehicles?
The answer is yes.
Yes.
Okay,
Sure.
because the majority of your felons that are gonna be coming in and out are probably gonna be in stolen vehicles, or they will steal a vehicle.
And
Now we-
usually the experienced crook
Yeah.
has a valise full of license plates. And the stolen vehicle, a new plate is immediately put on.
Okay,
Fine. Go ahead, Donald.
All right, so there are some visitors here who don't know what we're talking about, so I thought I might give a brief presentation of what we're talking about.
What does that mean?
Means, what the hell is flock? I can,
All right, they may not care to be flocked.
whether you be flocked or deflocked, this is what it is in a nutshell. These cameras are digital cameras that are hooked to a database that can automatically find cars that have expired license plates, drivers with expired, drivers who have expired registrations or no insurance, people who are under court orders not to be in here, convicted felons. When you trip that camera says run flagged, goes directly to PBSO, and PBSO responds. It's being used in more and more communities and municipalities. I could probably answer any questions, and I'm sure you guys have some, so.
Any further discussion on this?
Nay.
Hey?
All right.
The justification for something like this is consistent with the rise in crime nationwide. People are conscious of it. And all we have to do is state very simply, we're doing this in order to protect the citizens of Century Village. Sure, you don't like it, take an exit and buy a unit someplace else, 75% more than you.
amen.
It would be nice if at delegate assembly, the captain, I'm not saying he should play salesman, but he should at least comment on his opinion of its efficacy to law enforcement.
I'll make that contact. I already have, actually.
Okay,
Good job, Donald.
any further discussion on this one?
Call the question.
Call the question.
A motion was made by Bob Rivera and seconded by Fausto Fabro to accept the proposal from Flock to employ their security system at both Century Village entrances. Does that say it?
Yes.
That's good enough.
Okay, David Israel,
Yes,
Ed Grossman,
Yes.
Don Panacea,
Yes.
Stu Richland,
Yes,
Fausto Fabro,
Yes.
Tricia Capito,
Indubitably.
Bob Rivera.
See,
I vote yes, it's carried unanimously.
yes,
This article is in.
his article is in. Okay, it should be noted for the minutes that a quorum is present, just as a matter of interest. Go ahead.
David, I would recommend that we go out of order and that we start with the new business section before we do any of the other stuff.
Okay. Fine,
Sounds good.
I'm happy with that. That's really why I didn't.
No, I'm just saying that,
So
We followed it.
Al doesn't
No,
have to
Bobby.
sit here through this.
right,
All right, we have guests. How about we go with AMR first?
no, Bobby first.
Oh, Bobby?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
quick and short.
It'll be very fast. This is a copy for each officer of the Grants for the Search Nominations Committee. Elections are coming up soon.
Oh, wow.
Ruth and I have gone over all of the dates
What is this
and,
for? Elections, March, yeah.
the only thing that I asked this committee to do is tell me or appoint somebody to run the actual election.
Ken Graff and John Gregg won't do it?
I don't know. That's what I'm asking you. That's not,
I'll
my-
appoint
I
Bobby
mean,
Levy.
they've done a reasonable job.
you tell me and let them know.
I can.
As far as I know, nothing has changed. It'll be the same as before.
This is the officers selection.
This is offices. We're going to be electing 2 vice presidents and 10 executive board members.
I
Was it 2 years?
suggest that we have an independent person running it. It was a farce. The last election, it was counted, recounted, recounted, and recounted.
Did we not do that with the
Yes.
people across the street? We did. Robert
Yeah,
Half.
they-
And our people were just kind of oversight, show them where to set up and Robert Half,
Yes,
right?
It wasn't our people who made the mistake, and I was one of the officers who helped to recount.
Right.
So it wasn't the people that we, that were in the office, it's the people we hired, so.
Well, one thing I noted, and I think that's for the first time since I've been here, there was no outside observers. In the past, anybody who ran was entitled to one observer. And I think it was
Change.
Hasn't changed.
unfortunate that we published
That hasn't changed.
incorrect totals. So whoever was in charge of adding, I suggest that person is no longer in charge of adding. When I say independent, these corrections, to my knowledge, was made
At a
after,
Gladstone.
after the people who were hired left. Now, whoever was in charge, those counts should have been correct. And they weren't. And they weren't changed until a complaint came
We
in.
didn't change it.
Originally, it was a tie. The tie changed, and after the tie changed, more than one candidate's numbers changed. So I think in the 15 years I've been here, it's the first time that ever happened.
I'm not aware of a farce, and I'm aware that someone whited something out, which is illegal. And it wasn't one of us.
I don't care,
Someone, I'm
I don't
telling
care
you,
who it was, it was wrong.
I don't think it was a farce.
It should have been corrected when it left.
We did recount.
did correct it.
Well, it
You were in
was,
the room.
we're going around.
All right.
Patricia,
Okay, okay.
wrong is wrong.
Wrong is wrong, but you have
David, I
to.
just-
First of all, hold on.
Okay, it's getting on. Here we go.
The selection of an observer by a candidate has not changed. Nope. It's all
I didn't say.
in place and it's been in place.
I don't know.
Now, if you're unhappy with Robert Half, that's another matter. All right?
Well, was it Robert Half who made the adding errors?
Yes,
It was his staff.
It was
wasn't
his
one that
staff.
whited it out.
They were the ones who they set up the computers and did the counts.
right,
And whited out something.
right.
Well,
Somebody whited out something.
Okay, so we don't know then.
I don't know.
Okay, then let's.
So go ahead.
From seeing the paperwork, evidently when they counted, there was a mistake made. The problem was that whiteout was used for that number, and the person that did not autograph it or sign it or ask a supervisor to address the mistake that was made.
I got it.
So it was a mistake that was corrected, okay? Unfortunately, it might have taken an hour, but it got corrected. And then we did a recount where they came in, 4 officers were in here, and we recounted every single ballot 4 times to verify the counts.
Actually, Fausto, that's not correct. You did not, the officers
No.
did not do the recount. They
No.
oversaw the
Right,
recount
I'm
by the
sorry.
vendor.
Right, we saw that the vendor came in with a supervisor who counted, and the 4 vice presidents and Donald viewed the recounting of the ballots. We had no physical contact other than checking.
I don't recall recounting.
Oh, yeah.
We were here, we were here.
I was not here for the recount.
All right, hold on. Bobby?
Okay, thank you.
David, I was just, the election committee is not under my supervision. I asked the executive officers to speak to Ken Graff and John Gray and give them their marching orders and then let me know that they're who I deal with.
Is there any objection to these guys? They've
No.
been doing it for years. Ken Graff
No.
and John Gregg
Do you have any objections?
oversee.
You do what?
I
I mean, are
recall,
they willing to do it?
Are they?
you asked me.
I have no idea. if they're
We'll
willing to
find
do
out.
it.
I think,
Fine.
first of all,
If we have multiple people speaking at once,
I agree.
it's just stochastics, it's noise.
Okay,
All right,
okay.
Bob,
Okay, first of all, the complaint was sent from a person who won. So what's the big deal? He won,
I don't think we should get into it anymore.
I got you.
I think we should just stop it.
all right? And, yeah, exactly. I think the whole thing should just drop it.
All right,
We have a lot to discuss
It-
today.
It's,
I am going to ask Donald to contact. Where is Donald? To contact Ken and John and see if they will agree.
I
Freeze their roles.
I can see John, because I'm gonna leave, when I leave here, I'm going over there.
Okay, fine.
Now, under my name, it says installation luncheon. I have no idea what that's about.
It's news to me.
Are you telling me that you want me to plan some kind of luncheon after we have an office?
No,
I don't know. I didn't ask to have that put on.
Look, everyone should, if they have a contrary opinion, until this plague is over, I don't see any reason to cook up excuses to have meetings and throw people together. The situation in this room, Dr. Fauci would have a kitten over. All right,
okay.
so I don't know about an
I
installation.
mean, I didn't ask to put it on, so I
That's okay.
don't know.
We'll just remove it. Can we go on?
Yes,
Thank
which
you.
we can. Ed,
This whole question was brought up at one of the finance meetings, and originally the finance committee turned down the request for the money.
okay,
Hold it. The person who submitted it, I sent an email and said you could have a second bite at the apple. She came in and everybody agreed to allocate the funds. The next thing
I have
was,
no idea.
Excuse me, you said everybody? I didn't.
I didn't.
I didn't.
No, he's talking about.
was there a vote? Yes, was the vote
He's talking about the finance committee.
approving it?
finance.
Oh, the finance committee.
Committee approved it, and we could pull the minutes. The next thing is, it's an interesting suggestion, but yet we're going to the clubhouse, you're going to the auditorium, you're going to the
What's your
room
point?
C, you're going every place. And I think that two things, the installation luncheon is a good thing for us, and it's good publicity, and the centennial luncheon is a good thing for
That's a
us.
different thing.
And anybody has the objection to going has the ability not to go.
Ed,
So I can't see the rationale, David, that you're gonna have 20 people in a big room and then you're gonna have 150 in the auditorium.
Why should we change something?
wait, hang on a minute. Ed, would you like to put your thoughts in the form of a motion?
Yes,
Okay.
I thought the motion was already passed.
There's no motion.
Well,
Hit it.
I would like to make a motion to keep the traditional meetings unless, if you want, there's a tremendous outbreak of the virus.
That's a
No,
lot
just
to
say what
write.
you, say what you need.
Make your motion.
Make your motion.
That's a lot. to
That's
write.
my motion.
One sentence, Ed.
One sentence.
One sentence.
The sentence is, there's no reason not to have it.
That's
I
not a
make,
motion.
excuse me, you're talking out of turn.
That's not a motion.
You want to start this all over again?
No, just make your
The
motion.
motion is to continue the traditional events that help the village because of advertising and goodwill.
Now it's got long.
Wait,
Ed, can I
is that
refrain?
traditional?
Yeah.
Ed, may I reframe your motion for you? And if it's okay, you let me know.
Certainly.
Ed makes a motion that the installation luncheon and the centennial luncheon be
In the
continued.
budget.
Centenarian.
Centenarian luncheon happen in 2023.
Okay.
That work?
Yeah,
That's it.
Is there a second?
you didn't add the luncheon for the volunteers.
And the volunteer luncheon. Three events. Does anyone second Ed's motion?
Motion dies.
All right, motion dies for lack of second.
Okay, so then this is over.
Move on.
Okay,
Put that in black in the minutes.
okay.
All right, anything else on this item Bobby submitted?
Thank you, Bobby, for the
Thank
good
you.
work that you do.
That's Bob, and thank you for the future work you'll be doing.
All right,
I do want to make a motion on that,
go ahead.
that we do have the centenarian lunch.
You want to excise that one?
I want to excise that one.
All
I
right,
thought we were doing that already.
No, you
No, no,
voted down,
no, we just went through one where we said, no,
voted
it's
down
all three.
volunteer, you voted.
Now it's
Bobby?
just the centenarian.
At the finance meeting,
I know, I heard that.
I brought up putting back money into the social events committee. We voted on $4,500 for the centenarians that really run only a couple of $100 and volunteer luncheon. That was what we decided
All right,
on.
I'll amend it to include volunteer.
Okay,
You know what?
We threw
This is
three off,
ridiculous.
No,
two back.
no,
This,
No, it's right.
Go ahead.
what we're doing is just eliminating the one.
That's right.
okay,
If you're putting $4,500.
Doesn't
into
mean
the
you have to
budget,
spend it.
Right, and I can find $300 to put out a bottle of wine and some cheese
you
after,
get them all drunk and then
after
we know.
we're elected.
Do I have a
And then we
second?
vote.
Right, then we vote.
I
I
got
want
you.
to go to White Castle.
All right. We have
Do we have a second?
a legible motion. What do you got?
She's
I
confused.
have no idea what Bob.
Okay,
asked
look.
for.
I don't think.
Installation centenarian, not installation, I'm sorry.
Volunteer,
Volunteer and.
Is
doing it for
there
the old people.
money in the budget?
that Bobby, those are two separate things.
Okay.
Thank you.
Just those two,
What is your
I'm sorry.
motion, please?
to go ahead with the centenarian and the volunteer luncheons.
Okay. We have a second for that.
I'll second.
Fausto says. Any further discussion on this?
Call the question.
Yes, Ed.
Makes absolutely no sense what you just did. You're picking and choosing the same argument for not having it because of the virus will address the other two. And you're talking about money. We're not talking about money. We're talking about what events should happen. So you're gonna pick an event and you say, no one's gonna get sick at that event because we picked it.
I didn't say that.
May I answer?
Well, that was the excuse of not having it.
It's not-
the
Can I
money.
answer?
So as far as I'm concerned, it's a no-brainer.
For those two events, less people show up, a lot less.
How many people are 100 and more here?
We got 1,000 here, but they won't admit it. Stuart.
From one of the realistic points of view is that it's good publicity. One, for the elderly, since most of us are in that, almost in that category.
You're getting there, buddy.
Okay, that's one of them. And the other is that we really have to say thank you to those who volunteer because we wouldn't operate here without them. And the elected offices, they're going to be there anyway, so what's the big deal?
Unless there's no,
So, but this is good publicity. It looks good in the newspaper, and it shows that we appreciate those people who volunteer.
Stuart, admit it, you're getting close to 100. That's why you want the party.
You've got 9
Further
years left.
discussion on this item.
So,
Ed,
When we were discussing this at the finance meeting, we talked about advertising. And I asked, did we ever get in the newspapers? I was told, yes. I'd just like to get clarification. Was that in the Yuko Reporter? Was that in the Palm Beach Post? Was that in the Barron's?
What are you talking about
Finance?
specifically? What went into the paper?
Excuse me?
She wants to know specifically what went into the paper.
We're talking about advertising. If you're just doing it in the
Advertising what?
Reporter, that's nice, but you're talking to the choir. When you talk into a general publication, you're talking outside the choir. So I just want the clarification. Bobby, I asked the question, I
It has
believe you
been in the
answered it,
Palm
you
Beach-
said yes. All I'm asking is, did it get outside of Century Village?
The last centenarian party where we had 8 or 9 guests, it was covered by the newspaper, it was covered by TV. That was 2 years ago. It's always in the Reporter. We had, what was it? What's the name of the ice cream place?
what?
Sloan.
Sloan.
Big Sloan. We had a lot of publicity with that. That was 2 years ago. This
Oh,
year we
people
have
ice cream?
3 centenarians. The
Three.
number, that's it. But we do, it will be published.
We give old people ice cream, we give them a
All
sandwich.
right, is there any further discussion on this?
I only got one comment, and that's, if Willard Scott's still alive, we'll try to get him here for you, all right?
Who?
Willard Scott,
Is he alive?
I doubt it.
Okay, can we move on?
All right, can we have a vote on this?
Oh, I forgot already.
I forgot there was a motion to.
Yes.
Okay,
Bob
call it.
made a motion, seconded by Fausto, to go ahead with the volunteer and centenarian luncheons for 2023. David Israel,
No,
Ed Grossman,
No.
John Granaccia,
No.
Stuart Richland,
Yes.
Fausto Fabro,
yes, I want,
All right, that's
come
enough.
on, Stuart, you gotta get there, a few more years.
Vito,
See, senora.
Bob Rivera.
C, indubitably,
I'm gonna vote yes, so the vote is
carry.
5-3, and it is carried.
All
okay,
right, you're gonna get your
so
hundred.
be it.
Okay,
I'll bring the
next.
wine.
Eat that with a stick.
The good one.
We got anything else on this item?
No, next.
Sure, you're invited.
Now
I'll
can
make a
we go on
reservation
to
for
AMR?
Yes, let's do that. AMR, yes.
Thank you, Bobby.
In case I need it after I have a couple of
Presenting for
drinks.
AMR.
Isabel.
I am
Isabel.
Isabel
Oh.
Rodriguez. I made some copies, so I think
She's
I
from
have 4, if
AMR.
I'm not mistaken, just for the executive board, and we do have some extras.
Gonna
So,
make some more.
yeah, I think I have enough, possibly for everybody in the room. And I left it as you requested to, I think you're also part of the board, right?
Okay.
And then this side over here.
You like some help?
Would be nice.
Is this a meet and greet? I mean, what is the issue here?
The issue here
Separated.
is that we've had, several people have come in that they've been billed for something that they were not supposed to be billed for. And I asked Isabel to look into the issue, people that got charged above and beyond what they were supposed to be charged. Some people were sent a bill in error completely. Plus, we're getting a lot of calls over the last 6-7 months. What is covered, what is not covered? Can I be picked up from my doctor's office and go here, go there? So I requested that, the last time that we got anything in writing was from the previous administrator, Ms. Kirkwood. And that was over 2 years ago, and we got, something in writing, and we posted it in the paper as to what is actually covered under the current contract with AMR. So I asked Isabel to give us something in writing so we could have, all the officers have the same hymn book to sing. What is covered, what is not covered,
All right,
and we will put it in the paper.
so this is an information
Absolutely, yes.
meeting. just to recollect, is the situation the same? Normally, the Red Wagon will transport. They'll make a decision whether it's ALS or BLS. If it's ALS, advanced life support, the Red Wagon transports. If it's BLS, normally AMR would transport. Is that correct? And if you get a bill from the fire department, you turn it over and fill it in and send it to your insurance company, right? I don't think we would be getting a bill from AMR.
They have.
Well, we have been getting some bills from A&R, but they've almost always been in error.
Okay,
Okay, but as far as the bill from the ambulance company, that comes to you because they feel that you have a balance that you have to pay. Most insurance companies are paying $550 or $500,
you have
and
to
they're
pay the deductible.
the
Yeah,
deductible.
right.
From my experience over the last 2.5 years, if you fill in the back of that paper and send it back to the ambulance company, they will write that off.
Really?
Some people, on the other hand, will not fill it in and just send them a check,
Oh, boy.
okay?
Perhaps you can clarify some of that.
Yeah, well, you were
Hold on.
doing an amazing
Hold
job.
on, Bob.
My concerns with AMR is, what are you doing for us?
That's what I just,
All right, no, and that's not what I mean, all right? People sit here and wait half hour, 45 minutes for an ambulance to show. All right, we have,
That's all.
you guys have a lot of times when you're nowhere to be found, so the Red Wagon takes it.
no, that's
That's
not
not
true,
true.
Bob.
That
Bob, it's not true.
happened in the past.
Did you hear what David said? The Red Wagon comes first, and they determine if they go or AMR goes. That's why there's a
I
lag in
had a
time.
situation where I got transported and I was told they're 40 minutes out, the red bus took me,
You should have marked that date and.
All right, I think we should hear
all
Right,
right?
let Isabel talk.
from AMR.
And wait,
Look, if you go back far enough,
Let
Bob,
me just
they
say,
used to have an ambulance stationed here. And it was made clear by Sarah, you want to pay for that? They'll do it again. And this is why we need to hear what the parameters of the contract are. All right, those are.
So I think, David, you did a wonderful job. By the way, this has been the most refreshing time of my day, which started at 7 a.m. So it's nice to hear I don't have to deal with the complexity of all our issues. I think you're right. There's some misunderstanding, and I told Fausto it would be a great idea, right? We do not have, we're not here to replace the red bus, how David referred to it. We're not 911. This contract is not to replace the 911 service. This transport is just for when you have a resident that needs ambulance transportation in a non-emergent status, which means, right, that when we get there, it's not lights and sirens because you're here, because if your medical condition is to the point where you need us here, within 20 minutes, fire rescue should be transporting that. And that is a county-wide ordinance. We are backup, means that when the patient is stable, then that's when they call us. To David's point, when we had a unit here, the fee was significantly higher, and that was voted no. So what you're looking at is the residents pay $145 per month, which if you analyze it, is $17.40. To best answer your question, if you look at the PowerPoint, and the last page, page 6, so far in Fausto's position, right, we contract a billing company, they have new people, so they make an error, right? Nobody here should be paying for anything, right? And that's part of here that it says it here, we clarified it. What happens is that unfortunately, in addition to the Medicare deductibles, most of the residents here that I have been reviewing have Humana, have United, have Medicare Advantage, which now have a copay. The copay for this ambulance transportation varies from $200 to $240 every time you use it, right? So if each of you here one time takes this, uses it, and you're on a Medicare Advantage, you probably paid with that copay about over 10 years of our service. So when you look at that page, in page 6, so far, just in copays, I'm not talking about the ones where the insurance denies because you really didn't need the ambulance. We write that off.
Wow.
Those are hospital discharges, so monthly, when you look it up, year-to-date up to August, we transported 327 residents in Century Village. And in co-pays alone, we have saved the residents here $43,000. So-
It says that's how much they owe.
No, this is the amount each resident, this is what the amount that they would owe.
So
If you wouldn't have the insurance that you have with us,
yeah,
collectively, those residents would have collectively paid $43,000.
You are not of insurance.
If we divide this by this, it would be the average per resident. Am I correct in saying that?
Not necessarily, because it varies by insurance.
I know, I'm just getting the overall average would be this divided by the 43 divided by 327. That would be the overall average. I know.
I guess, that's,
Okay, that's all.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Ed, you had a question?
Oh, yes. I sent you 3 emails. I called you. You said you'd call me right back. And you gave me when you were coming back from vacation, and then you sent me an email. There's nothing more I could tell you. I sent you a nice email where I said, I think you're wrong, because the last time we had a visit from AMR, and I quoted it, I think it was like 413 times that you visited the village. And at that point, I can't lie, I don't remember if it was you or one of your associates said, but that's not all we do. That we're counting. We move people from one place to the other, and it's really more than just when you come to the village. Now, my perspective was, not what the individual saves, because if they have insurance, they're gonna pay basically nothing. If I count 413 into 117,500, which is our premium. And by the way, the contract has not changed since 2012, when it was originally signed, and it's not a hard contract to read. You have exceptions for this. And I personally feel in today's world, we're supplementing what people may have. And if I'm looking at 300 into 117,000, that's a lot of money for the service. And so I was trying to elicit from you what you said, that you don't, that's not everything you do, because I recall it was several hundred more that you're not counting for whatever reason. So I felt it would be advantageous to know, is it really 400? Is it really 300? Or is it 1,000, because you don't count the other stuff? And that would make it sort of more palatable, because it's always been on the agenda. In fact, I just had finishing the budget. It's a good argument, $17.50 a month, which is, less than a good cup of coffee today. But it would be nice to know what the total service is. And David said a million times, you used to have an ambulance here. I could tell you 2 weeks ago, we had a situation in my home where my wife couldn't walk. The red wagon came, they addressed it. This is what they said: there's no sense in us calling AMR, they're just not answering the phone. And I said, what if we go across the street? And he said, that would even be worse, because they were piled high with people, you wait there forever. Okay, so it isn't a 1750 and other villages take more service. I don't really know, maybe it's worth to pay another $1.50 per unit to have more service. But right now, from an economic standpoint, it doesn't seem to make sense. And it's been on the agenda all the time, and I promoted it. But it was a good argument, I felt, from an economic point. What are we providing which is not our real obligation? And are we getting value? And of course, I do look at it, by the way, as it's an insurance. I mean, you take out life insurance, you hope you don't die. You take out medical insurance, you hope you're not sick. But this is a community kind of thing. And while you could decide whatever you want for your personal expenses, I feel our obligation is not just for me, but for all the residents, and you have to be, in my opinion, more careful with other people.
Ed, can you get to the point?
The point is, I feel we need that information.
So how much more is it if somebody was on the premises, and that would it mean that we would get immediate attention if they were here?
I want to tell you honestly,
Yeah,
right? This
honestly.
is the only association that they don't have the non-medical service, right? Where I have seen that the other associations, Century Village or not, they have the non-medical, which does provide an extensive amount of service. Right? At the end of the day, we do have the unit here, right? And it's gonna help. But to the point I'm trying to make, right, the 1740 per year,
Mhm.
each resident, Fausto sent me 5 invoices
Mhm.
in the last, I think.
2 months.
2 months.
Yeah.
Each invoice was $240.
Mhm.
That's for one transport. The 1740, just at the basic, is per unit, regardless of the number of transports or the number of residents that reside in that unit. So I mean, right there, to me, you can never have any insurance. As far as to your argument, Ed, with all respect, I don't remember that anything else was additional to me asked, other than how many times did not the red wagon come here? And that's why I said it's 2 separate things.
Well,
David.
Years back, they had something which people referred to as cabulance.
Cabinets, correct.
And that was dumped a long time ago.
Mhm.
Things like hospital to hospital transport from hospital back home after discharge, a number of things went away. However, I will remind you, it has come to the delegates many times. They will not throw this ambulance off the raft. It's been tried before. It's a backup, it's a security thing.
Who's saying we should get rid of it?
I'm just saying, this has come to the delegates before.
yes.
There has been incremental reduction in service. There's no doubt. When cabulance went away, it was back in Phyllis Richland's time. Okay.
But by the way, hospital to hospital is
I was gonna
covered.
tell you, hospital is covered.
Right.
If you're getting discharged to the nursing home, it's covered. If you're at the nursing home, I mean, all those things are still covered as long as they're still hold.
I have no
They're
objection to it. I'm not lobbying against it.
No,
However,
there's always Palm Tran. If someone's getting discharged from a home and they're coming back to their house, they can always take Palm Tran.
Yeah, but that's someone who doesn't have a medical
Do you-
condition that
do
needs
you provide
monitoring.
that?
That's the cabulance that David's referring to.
But do you provide it?
The
Not under
cabulance?
this contract.
Not for Century Village,
Okay, then there's always Palm Tran.
West Palm. We do offer it for everyone else. That's the point I'm trying
You
to make.
wanna pay for it, they can do it.
that's my question.
I don't want to pay for it.
Palm Trend will take you
I
to
think what they charge now is way more than we should be paying.
$1.45.
For the service-
$1.45?
For the services that you provide,
Well, fortunately, maybe you have a healthier association than in the past.
That's a tough one. Go ahead, Ed.
I don't want to see it go away.
But will you try to just get to it? Go ahead.
I think you made a statement and you should expound on it. I mean, times have changed since 2012, when we were paying the same fee. And David said, you didn't raise the fee, but you reduced the service. And you said, we're the only Century Village that has only this. What does the other Century Village
You're saying.
get, and what is the additional cost? I don't mind paying if I get the service,
300 times more.
They pay more.
We had a gentleman by the name of Joe 3 years ago that came in, and to get the concierge service was starting at $4.50 and above.
That's 4 years ago.
So now it's probably $6 or $7.
It's not gonna go down.
It's not gonna go down. I don't know.
What I see is, I'm sorry, are you done?
I was gonna ask Isabel, the concierge service that people might be looking for, at what point does it start today?
I can tell you that, off the top of my head, because I don't have the numbers, right? You have some associations that pay combined the ambulance, the $1.45, which is $1.44, but I made it easier for my math at $1.45.
That's fine.
And they pay $3.30, and you have another ones that pay $4, depending on the volume.
Yeah.
So you're looking at combined, instead of the $1.45 monthly, it's the
Five, close to
$5.
$5. Yeah.
But not
But
$7.50.
that'll take every resident that needs to go to the dialysis center 3 times a week, 6 trips a week, to chemotherapy, to radiation. Again, it's all depending on the community,
Thank you.
right?
Thank you.
But
So
that's
if
not
this is a
seven-
healthier community, then that's a different story.
It's not.
Now,
That's not $7.50.
unfortunately, COVID has affected us, strategically, drastically with our staffing.
Mm.
So fire rescue does not call us on the phone, they call us on the radio. So a lot of the times the Red Wagon, to them, it's easier for them to transport the patients here, not that we're not here to come. They prefer not to wait the 20 minutes or 25 minutes for us to get here.
He's right. It was-
So that is beyond our control.
Mhm.
It's not life-threatening. And by county ordinance, we have up to an hour to get there. So we're providing an
Wow.
ETA over the radio to the Red Wagon saying, we'll be there in 25 minutes, we'll be there in 30 minutes, and the Red Wagon is choosing not to wait for us. That's a big difference in us saying, we're not here to cater your
And
service.
it's always their call.
It's their
Yeah,
call.
it's their call, it is. right.
So,
So it's not, again, so it's kind of like, how do you measure that?
Okay.
so what do we get for the extra $3?
Tra- Transportation to doctor's office settings, appointments, anything that's medical.
And the wait time is still
No, it's a whole dedicated
Yeah,
set of vehicles.
That
do you
stuff is
call
arranged.
do you
Yeah.
call the same number to get,
Hey, if
to
anybody's
go to
gonna
the
talk
hospital as
about
to the
recognize
doctor?
that I'm gonna
Yes,
talk
you
about
have to
these.
call 48 hours in advance.
Right?
All right, Bob.
My whole issue with AMR is they are a monopoly. We have no other person we can go to, no other company.
They have a
In this
cutout
county.
franchise by the state to
And the county.
ensure ambulance service.
Right.
I mean,
That's a monopoly.
you have to go to Tallahassee to complain about that. But you're at liberty to call any ambulance service you want,
But you won't get it.
but you'll pay through the
They
snout.
are not.
Now, that's probably right. I mean, there's a map.
If they got a
I can pull it up for you on the
Why is
internet,
somebody
shows
else-
all the franchise areas.
You cannot get another.
You know, you wanna bring this up with, what's his name?
I will.
Right.
Not Weiss, higher than Weiss, Brian Mast. All right, you got anything else for us?
No, that's it. Just the
You got
pamphlet.
any other questions for Sarah while she's here?
It's Isabel.
Do you guys have anything?
Oh, Isabel, I'm sorry.
No problem.
You guys have anything that you want to bring? You want to speak up? Oh, good, you let the lady take. the floor.
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
I left you additional copies, and
All right.
this is a good PowerPoint. I mean, when you want, you can look at it. It tells you the average rates, what we're doing, so just,
Did you give me one?
yes,
Yes, you did.
look how pretty they're in color.
Thank you. All right, can we move along?
Yeah, please.
Let me take
Okay.
it more.
All right.
You
I
want-
left it there. If you want it, I'll send it to you. No, I just need one for my records.
Take it.
Let me know. No, okay. Sure?
Yeah.
I think we disposed of flocking.
Okay.
Okay.
Enjoy your meeting.
So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I would.
Thank you.
I'm glad we provide a source of immunity.
Justice is gone.
Breeze line is the next subject.
Yes, we're up to Breeze Line, the bulk internet proposal. Now, I hope you all have read it. All right, it's a little complicated.
Yes,
The bottom line here is
It's cheap.
they want, of course, to pull millions of dollars more out of this community. At 4,048 internet customers. Want us to go to bulk internet. We've been trying to do this from day one. If you recall, delegates thus far have been unwilling to vote for this. And I think it's all gonna come down to how many people in that audience have computers.
That's good.
It's very difficult to get anyone in their right mind who doesn't have a computer to vote for internet. However, I always made the argument, I don't ride the bus, but I pay for the bus. Maybe that's a bad argument, but the bottom line is bulk internet, bulk video, network recovery fee goes away, modem rental fee goes away. Total rate $54.99, $55 for both. Okay? We don't need to overcomplicate it.
Plus the phone?
Phone isn't even mentioned.
No.
Phone is separate.
So I'd be paying the same?
Forget the phone. Well, don't forget the phone, but it's not in the proposal.
No,
Okay, I think it's a good idea for us to do this, all right? Because number one, internet right now is at 100 megabytes. All right, it's gonna get increased to 300.
Correct.
Now, I personally have 400, which to me is just as good as the 100. And I've been considering downgrading. So, I mean, if they keep it at 300 and it works, then yes, it's gonna be worth it to everyone. And not only that, but everybody who's getting TVs now, they use internet.
I
All
understand.
right, so you're gonna move it, so people that are moving in, they have internet on their TVs, because they got newer TVs. All right, the people that have been here for a while and still have their tube TVs, all right, they're getting rid of those and they're gonna start getting a newer TV, and it's gonna require internet. So it's something that needs to be here.
All right, I will just say one thing about throwing out that number that they are throwing out 300 megabit. Unless you are an inveterate gamer, and I don't know how many of those we have in here, running 80 frames per second or faster, that number means nothing to you.
it doesn't.
You know, you've got 100 megabit or 300 megabit, the website's open before your finger can get off the button. So this does not impress me. However, for network recovery fee to go away and modem rental fee to go away, and you can thank Dr. H for making that suggestion, which they accepted without question. I think this combined rate is incredible. It's just a personal opinion.
How much is it, does anybody know how much they're charging for phone?
I do not know. It's not in there.
$25.
How much?
Well, the phone
Yeah.
$24.99 for the
Okay.
text, but I'd like to answer Patricia. I heard her say, with this $54.99, I'll be back to what I'm paying now. You haven't added cable into that. That
Right.
includes cable, that $54.
This includes TV.
Another $36 you're omitting.
Gotcha. Maybe that's the point.
It depends how you juggle the numbers. The savings between 23 and $30. There is something of a saving. Olga,
David, I don't understand.
If this is accepted, if this contract is accepted, how does it affect the 8 or 9 buildings that have Wi-Fi with Comcast?
It doesn't
For
cover,
example,
doesn't cover.
listen,
wait a minute, are we excluded from paying that extra money because we have contracts?
No.
Do we
you're
have
not
to pay
excluded.
twice?
Right.
That's
Yeah.
correct.
Yes.
You would have to pay
Olga, it
twice.
didn't pass the first time. I don't expect it to pass now.
Okay,
But no, you're not excluded. When you say bulk
yeah,
internet, everybody gets hit with that $22.
so then those buildings, those 8 or 9 buildings that have internet with Comcast that are paying $8 per
Are
unit,
gonna be very upset.
yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Doc,
Yeah.
Anyone,
hey, whoa, come on, Doc.
anyone who wants a complete breakdown, I emailed it to David. There are more than 5 different levels This does not even, we haven't even mentioned the snowbirds and snowflakes. They will be paying if this goes bulk year round.
Exactly.
And they will be losing money.
Another reason why I expect this motion to fail.
All that has to be presented. The ones who will benefit the most are year round, who get the present super fast,
Mhm.
less benefit, but still year round, but get the 100. Most least benefit, but still benefit year round, but get the basic 25. For every month you are not in Century Village, you will be losing money.
All right.
Do they have that?
This is
on-
great, and when you make your speech at delegate assembly, I suggest you go out of your way to simplify this.
Take a look at what.
You know, I got halfway through your encyclical and went to sleep. You've got to simplify it. All right?
I'll try.
That's why I like Person's chart. It's very simple. It's weaselly and deceptive, but it's simple. Go ahead, Patricia.
You can right now, I don't see why they wouldn't do it. Right now, if you go away, like people that are snowbirds in my building, they're not being charged the full amount.
I know,
They put it on hold, so
I know.
wouldn't they do the same thing with this bulk? And that's a question.
Not,
The
no,
TV is year
bulk
round.
is bulk.
Okay.
TV.
All right.
Gotcha.
Now,
So they-
look, we can go to Person and make this suggestion. I was amazed that he took Doc's suggestion to squash the modem fee. You can try anything. It's called negotiation.
Not for nothing, but in the beginning, we were told we weren't going to pay any modem fee, and then they charged us.
Right.
It wasn't just the modem fee, it was also the DVR fee.
Yeah, we pay for
All
that.
right, we pay for that also. That goes away because these new
Correct.
boxes are wireless.
And they store in the cloud. Now, another problem with
That's a
that,
good thing.
which has been pointed out to me, there are a lot of people archive libraries on those hard drives.
I don't-
And the guy said, what happens to all that data? And Person came back to me and he message goes away. Well, that kind of irritated me. I said, look, why can't you migrate all that data to the cloud? So the wireless box can access it. No response yet.
Oh.
All right, there are real issues.
Mhm.
You know, some people use the hard drive on that TiVo to record movies or whatever,
Right,
right?
right. Movies off the TV,
Oh.
which they can record again.
Apparently, all that data will be lost.
Oh, okay.
David?
I mean, it's not like I have Vudu, all right? Vudu, I buy the movie. It's always on the cloud, all right? So I'm not gonna lose Vudu because
No, of course not.
it's a separate.
Voodoo.
Vudu,
I don't know what that
all
is.
right?
Yeah, yeah.
I got almost 1,000 movies on there. I got a lot of money invested in Vudu.
I guess I would question whether the new wireless box will access Voodoo
It
Archive.
will.
Okay,
David?
yes,
This
Ruth.
is just a little bit outside of the bulk internet that we're talking about. This is telephone, which is not included, we understand. But it seems to me Grease Line picks their figures out of the air. I pay $24.99 plus tax a month for the phone. John is telling me he pays $19.99. How does that happen?
Oh, I didn't know that. I paid
Well,
24.
he's a better negotiator.
Yeah.
I guess so.
Got a bigger phone.
All right, certainly, this is a question I will
With John
bring
person,
to
yeah.
Breeze Line. Absolutely.
I have one more question. The only thing I don't see on here, because I look at the bills, I see taxes on here too, and every month 16,000 taxes. That would be getting added to your bill?
That's
No.
They'll go away.
I believe some of those taxes, like are federal,
Mhm.
and I don't think they're gonna go away.
Not those-
Right, that's gonna be added to your bill of
Yes, of
$54.
course.
The only
No.
thing you lose
Yeah,
is
I don't
the
think so.
recovery fee.
Those taxes aren't going away.
No, never.
Taxes,
So you will render under
what the
Caesar.
government, you know, take it, they don't give back. Ed,
This is an interesting discussion to me, but I want to start at a different point. The largest expense on our dues is cable. It's now up to $3.7 million. So where can you start? You could start with, you don't have to pay a penny because the open channels are available to you. As far as I know, the last time Mr. Israel used it, you got 7 or 8 free channels. Now, from an economic standpoint, if you eliminate 3.7 or $3.8 million as it now stands, every unit owner will have a deduction in their dues of about $37. That goes in your pocket. Now, you're getting free television, and I thought up until today that was mandatory, but it's not. I checked it, 718 does not demand that we provide free television. However, if you provide it, that's a plus. So now, many people are spending a lot of money for the extras. Well, if you don't have to take $35 or $37 out of your pocket and have your own personal carrier, then that's all we've been paying for. Now, if you want to have all the bells and whistles, you could have all the bells and whistles because you're starting with money in your pocket that you didn't have before. Why should I, who only watches 3 channels, pay for 302 channels? You say, well, that's the community, but it's not really required. It's not really required. And you think it's going to stop? One of the little things on the bottom of that was it goes up $1.50 every year. So you're not going to be just at $37. So those who want to have 6 million gigabytes could pay for it. They could put up their own antenna and have their own TV station, as far as I'm concerned. I don't need it. How many people in this room watch 300 channels? Well, it's a waste of money. So the other thing is we haven't negotiated. You say negotiation. They want the extra income. They claim they have 4,400 or 4,500 current subscribers who are buying extra entertainment, okay? They probably would get 4,000 or 4,500 who want it. If we didn't have 8,000 or 12,000 people, would they offer us the same thing? You don't know because we haven't spoken to it. Supposing we went back and said, listen, we have a group that wants it, a group that doesn't want it. 5,000 subscribers isn't peanuts. And maybe it'll be of interest to you on Earth that our own.
You just can't get to the point, can you?
The point is you could pay nothing and you could pay $200.
That's the point.
The answer is there is going to be a goodly amount of people who won't take this, and they're not even using everything that they got.
So the vote will fail.
That's what he said.
Well, that's all.
Maybe.
There's a downside to that too. It means that damn network recovery fee continues to escalate, and it will. And any new subscriber, like a new unit owner who comes in, will pay $14.99 for that damn modem. All right, that's the downside. I mean, I could add more misery to this in computing the current value. They pulled Stars, Showtime, Newsmax, Major League Baseball. What are they gonna pull next? Who knows? Who knows? So we're gonna have to start putting our feet in concrete with this glass of milk that comes in here and grins at us. Mr. Person. Or I don't know what else to tell you on this. But I think we ought to have a vote on this.
We have a motion?
Do we have a motion? Okay. So does someone want to make a motion?
No, I don't.
I make a motion that we go with the proposal
the bulk internet proposal. Okay, you got a second?
I'll second, so we
Got
can
a second.
discuss it.
Any further discussion on this? Dozo?
My thought is, Ed, you're 100% correct. Give away the TV. We now have 7,000 antennas up on the roof
Yeah.
to get local signals and
dishes,
pay
dishes.
$50 to $75 for internet from some association. Or satellite dish.
$39 is AT&T without a contract as of today.
Okay, so it's $38 plus tax, you're over $40.
Yeah, but
And you have no TV.
$37 back, it's nothing.
You're
Okay.
never gonna get a delegate
Right.
vote in
Always, it
to
never-
terminate this cable service.
Right, exactly.
It isn't gonna happen. There's gonna be blood on the floor, but they will not vote to terminate cable service. They used to have a master antenna here. I'm talking 1970, right? And all they got, I mean, it was a big one, big 75-foot Yagi, pulled in Atlanta, Georgia, pulled in Miami, pulled in Orlando. But people, they weren't happy.
That was the name of the company, Master Antenna.
Yeah,
That's what the bill said.
okay, Bob.
If you turn around and you got rid of the cable, in all honesty, that would not bother me. Because you can get anything on cable over the internet. Internet is what is really
A lot of
needed
people
here.
don't have, believe it or not.
You're gonna-
it's a shock to me.
You're gonna have an issue. Not everyone is computer literate,
That's true.
knows how to hook up the output of a computer to a television set. They're
It's
just,
not just that, I'm talking about these TVs.
yeah, smart TVs.
They're all
I understand.
internet driven.
Yeah.
Right? You have apps on every TV now, you know. If, like I said, if people have a tube TV, you know, hey,
Yeah, I hear you. Doc,
Three things. First, Breezeline is blackmailing us.
yes,
Secondly, even the modem rental fee, if you read what Mr. Person said, we do not at present plan to blah, blah, blah. There's nothing.
for new subscribers,
Not even later, they could up the fee
Yes.
for everyone.
of course.
And thirdly, I would suggest we start talking to other ISP providers.
I have already
Good.
raised that question with Leo Delgado.
That's
So
what
that is in train.
I've gotten from.
At the very least, it'll get out in the industry that that's happening, and that may have an effect on
That's true.
The
Breezeline.
only
That's true.
answer I got from Ira Levy is that every company has high-speed network recovery fees. He did not say
That's true
how
too.
much they are. He did not say, what about, I asked him, what about your bulk rate customers? Do they have these fees? No answer.
All right,
Because they do. All the companies charge Comcast.
Yes,
they all do.
That's
They
not,
said as much as we pay.
That's not his
what about their
expertise.
bulk?
all right, hold on. We have a motion on the table.
That's second.
Who made the motion, please?
Bob made the motion.
To accept this, do we have a second?
I
We
second.
have a second.
Yes.
So let's stick to the discussion on this item and go ahead.
When we had this first discussion, we were sitting in here with the vendors here. I said, if we were to take the bulk, that $1.50 increase per year would be removed from the balance of the contract.
Yeah, he did say that.
I made it a point. I said, that needs to go away. Okay, now, the justification is what we were discussing this morning. We have 7,800 apartments. They got 4,500 people right now that are getting everything. The channels and the internet. They're gonna get another almost 4,000 people that they're currently not getting, that they're gonna get an additional $25 or $23 from. They should be able to wipe out for the balance of their contract, that additional $1.50 a unit.
All right. Here's the counter he's gonna bring up. Currently, with the current situation, you're getting an escalation on the TV side, I believe $1.45. You're also getting an escalation on the internet side, the SDP,
Okay,
select discount program of 3%.
right,
My guess is this $1.50 is less than those combined fees.
But they're also removing a dozen channels
They sure are.
and they're doubling their income.
I agree.
Okay, so it's one or the other. You can't have the Apple and the Core and the Pitts.
I guess.
It's one or the other. My personal feeling, I think it should be, I wish we could get Leo to negotiate this fact. You know, and it would be easier for a delegate to swallow that for the next 5 years, there would be no increase in the contract.
I have asked Leo in email to explore 4 other alternatives.
Okay.
All right,
My only comment, I have a lot of comments about this subject, but my only real comment is, can we get a proposed contract language change so that we can, this nice little proposal is all well and good. Show me the money. Show me the actual change to the current contract that they're proposing. Because I think it's ridiculous to vote on something until you have a document to sign. Because they'll slip whatever they want in if we go to the delegates and say, we want to do this. But we don't know the specifics that we're offering. We're like this $1.50.
Right.
You're right, you told them. So there's little nuances of change the contract. Go to the delegates and ask them, once we see what the real, and then have Leo look at the proposed actual change that they're asking for. Because I think it'll be vastly different than his glossy little sales proposal. I used to do those, I know.
I think that they did encapsulate the change in a small chart.
Yeah,
If you remember,
yeah.
network fee went away, modem fee went away, and that's all, right? And
But
they
what language
went
is
from
gonna-
85 to 55.
But what's gonna remain in the contract?
What?
That's what I would.
Are they gonna
suggest-
continue to chop away at us?
I
Because
mean,
these are 3 major channels they've taken.
It's huge. It's a huge deal, and I really believe that the proposed language change should be what we vote on, not a sales
She's
proposal.
right.
Wow.
And Bob, I know why you like it,
No,
I get it, but I use technology probably more than most of the people in here. And I would never go for this deal because there's too many other people affected.
You
I
know,
mean,
there is an alternative. We can just let the concept of bulk internet fall on the floor. We don't have to bring it anywhere. But remember that you have these fees that are gonna continue to escalate. You know it.
I
yes,
mean, if
They've
that's the
gone
case-
from what, $4 to $16,
right.
all right?
But they're doing that everywhere. They're not the only show in town, no. And everyone has network recovery fees, so it just,
Well, I claim that's a bogus fee.
It is.
It is.
It's just an increase
it
in
might
fees.
be,
that's
but
all it
having
is.
been a provider, I need that fee. When I was in business, if I didn't get that, I couldn't run a network.
This is the speech I made to person. I said, we negotiated hundreds of hours to come up with an agreeable arrangement, and you're doing everything in your power to negate it.
But we never agreed to bulk internet.
Not yet.
We didn't agree to it, and we didn't negotiate bulk internet.
All
We
right.
did in the very beginning, Joanne,
Yes,
we
yeah,
did. We threw it
we
off the
did.
bus.
Well, that's what I'm saying, and
Yeah.
what we agreed on was not bulk internet. It was a nice gesture, was all it was.
So how many of these people have gotten new TVs? How many of them?
But how many
started
people
one?
know how to use it, Bob? They don't.
Right?
That's,
People don't. They get
that's
nice
why it might
TVs.
pass.
Yeah, because a lot of these people are getting new
Right.
TVs. Now, I'd like to modify one thing on my motion, and this annual increase. All right, I know you want it to go away completely, but you gotta give them something. All right, I say the annual increase goes down to 1/4 annually. That's it.
Do you realize that their $3.5 million is gonna become $5 million? Think about that.
Yeah.
They're doubling the cost of the village.
You're adding close to 4,000
They're adding
Subscribers.
4,000 customers at $53 a piece.
If they don't have.
That right now, they're only paying $37. So it's a lot of money they're getting. Why should they
Okay,
fight?
then, all right, modify to take that off.
Maybe we should have that as two different motions, I don't know.
No, that's why.
No,
No.
I think personally, I think
She's
Joanne's
right.
idea is a good one.
She's right.
Show us a contract
Yeah.
with the $1.50
We should vote on
removed,
that.
and that's it. Otherwise, we're not even gonna discuss it.
You were voting on a blurb.
Yeah,
Well, any other contract, this man here was gonna wanna see that contract and review the language. He doesn't know what I'm talking about,
All right.
but that's what I mean.
I don't, okay, I can certainly ask for that.
Let's see that addendum.
And just let this thing die.
Yeah,
Do,
right
we
now.
have a motion right now that's been seconded by Bob. We have a motion from Bob. that's
Why don't we
been-
just let it go?
Do we want to kill the motion?
Kill the motion,
Vote on
rescind
it?
your
What do
motion,
we wanna
Bob. Kill the motion till we
Can
see.
I don't wanna kill my motion.
Okay, then.
all right.
We can vote on this.
No, we
I-
can
we can vote on it.
Vote on it. I mean, do we want to vote? on it?
All right. Doc,
I was just gonna say that we should not present this at the next delegate meeting. We already have the budget to go over and present. It's gonna be too much information in too short a time.
I got you.
Whether we pass this or not here, wait until everything is finalized as Joanne wants, and then present it perhaps after a town meeting, or it's been in the paper or on the blog, and the delegates know beforehand,
Right,
even if it's 2 or 3 months from now.
I got you.
that's logical.
Table it,
What's the,
table it.
Mhm.
okay, we can do that.
Yeah, we want to table.
You're withdrawing your
I'm
motion?
tabling it.
Well.
No, he can motion to table,
I'm tabling my.
All right.
or just withdraw your motion, Bob, and we'll.
How about if he amended his contract, subject to seeing the new contract? Would that,
Just,
Why don't we do this?
Why don't we just-
I'll contact John Persons. I'll ask him for a draft copy of the amendment, the addendum to the contract. We have to run it by Shelley anyway.
You see, I don't have an objection to that. It's gonna be this handout. That's what it's gonna be.
It's gonna be a contract? No, you're gonna sign that?
It's not a
It's gonna
contract.
be part of it.
Oh, gotcha.
That's all.
Yeah,
Following addendum and, yeah, okay, go ahead.
so, all right, so what you're voting on here is,
We're not voting.
are you good on, well, if you did, are you good on the concept of amending, addending the contract? You could vote on that. But
that's
we've
what I'm
always-
saying, if he amends
That's
his
what-
motion,
that's what-
subject to the contract, we're
subject
not
to-
turning it away, we want to see something concrete.
Subject to the review of the contract.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Okay, you can do
Are you
that.
okay with it? Okay,
well, Ed, you're the one who's good.
Because you're voting on something subject to something. I think the smartest idea is you table it, get the information,
yeah,
and then say it's
I agree.
good or it's bad.
we're
Get a
not,
hold of Mr. Person, tell him to give us a better offer
yeah, this would
than
be,
what he's got.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with that.
I want to be very careful about not involving Leo too intimately, so that he's gonna come around looking for a fee.
Well, it was, he's not here, right?
No,
So why would we give him a fee if he's not here?
I understand.
As far as I'm concerned, he hasn't done nothing.
A new contract might mean, if they're serious, a doorway fee.
That too.
If you go for a doorway fee, they're gonna want extended.
you're right. We
All right.
should,
Exactly.
we should agree to it, right?
I say just let it go for the remainder of this contract,
All right.
because you don't wanna get stuck.
My consensus I'm gathering is we don't want to pick this item up
Correct,
At this time,
at this time, hence the term tabling the motion.
right.
I agree, tabling the motion is what we should do. My basic premise here is that I don't trust either one of the Comcast and BreezeLine. I think they're a bunch of weasels.
Tell us
I
what you
think
really
that
mean.
they will nickel and dime us
Yes.
with lots of fancy language in order to get more money. This is the way they operate. I want to, just one second, I want to address something else. the idea of having television, and the television stations to take the local channels and that put up antennas is ludicrous. Why?
Why?
Because most of the people that live in Century Village do not watch the local channels. They are hooked on programs in which they can sit by themselves in their house and be carried away to another place because they are alone, they have nobody else to talk to. If you look at the local channels, they are benign. News and crap about West Palm Beach. Nobody's interested in that. They want to sit there and watch a movie where they can look and fantasize. An 85-year-old person who's got aches and pains wants to look at what happened in the 1930s so that as a result, she feels better. And so they are not willing. And it's the same argument to say, I pay for the buses that kids go to school in, but I don't go to school, I don't have, it's the same thing. And I pay for the police and never call them.
That's not the same.
It is the same because you're spending the money. You're imposing your view of what you think is comfortable for you on everybody in this room, and it's not fair. As far as I'm concerned, I watch mostly news broadcasts because this is what I enjoy, even though I watch some other programs as just a change of pace. But as far as I'm concerned, a lot of the stuff that's out there is crap. That's me. But I can't tell you, I like Young Sheldon. You can say that's too juvenile, I can't watch it. Okay, fine. But what pisses me off is the fact that they took stations off without a by your leave, and you had to find it by yourself. And I think that stinks. And this is where they screwed us. And this is a perfect example of how they treat their customers. And that's, I can go on, I don't want to.
No, I think we should move on. It's getting late.
All right,
I'd like to see the.
Joanne.
I just have somewhat related to this.
Excuse me.
There seems to be some question about how many units are actually installed. Now, I saw a number of 6,000 out there out of our 7,854 that we pay for.
All right, talking video or internet?
Video,
Okay,
video.
that's about right.
And if that's true, we are paying BreezeLine.
Yeah, this is a Ken Graff argument.
Now, they are paying less. In other words, BreezeLine makes money on every uninstalled unit
That's what bulk means.
because they're paying less than we're using. So they're paying for 6,000 odd subscriptions to HBO. They pay HBO for that, but they're only paying for 6,000, not 7,854.
Look, we went through this, Joanne. I came up with a new idea of on-demand variable billing.
Well,
And they would not buy it.
no, but
Bulk means every unit in the campus.
I think we should find out what is installed. We should get a download from them of all installed addresses. They've got it. It's a very simple file. And then check out who's not installed.
So what? That's
I agree with you.
so what?
If somebody,
You think they're gonna drop the fee on those uninstalled units?
oh no, I don't.
So,
But it could affect some of the performance issues. They could have performance issues in units that are simply screwing into the cable, which can happen. There's all kinds of craziness that can go on if we don't know accurately who's installed and who isn't. Also, the only other item is how many people actually go on seasonal. They can tell us that. We should know exactly how many people are taking advantage today of the seasonal option. Because that will allow you to make a very informed decision about bulk. Because they're gonna pay for 12 months, whether they like it or not.
We have both.
The same, I mean, it's the bus thing,
you
you
have
know,
bulk video,
you know,
and you're paying for bulk video.
right.
This is another issue.
It's the.
They're paying for buses year round too, so.
Right, no, it's an internet increase, the increase everyone's gonna incur in their coupon as a result of this is
No, no, no,
gonna
no,
be
no. The
subsidized.
people who use internet now will see a significant reduction.
That's what it is.
It's the 4,000 poor Slavs who don't have it,
Right,
who are
They're
going
gonna
to
subsidize.
experience the high-speed ream,
yeah, yep,
and they're gonna be pissed.
Yes, they are.
What I've said.
but that's it, that's the end of
Okay.
my.
Stop.
I emailed Ken this morning and I asked him, where'd you get this 6,000 from? I was under the impression that every unit had been hooked up for cable TV. Am I wrong?
They have, but they're not necessarily functional. And they know how many of these, they know how many of these TiVos are operational.
Okay.
These TiVos all have a low data rate, back channel that travels on the wire. And they know exactly how many are operating. And if they see 1,000 that they're never used, they make this assumption
Right,
that nobody's using it.
so it's up to the
That's
individual
part of
unit
it.
owner.
Huh?
The individual unit owner has been hooked up, whether or not he utilizes
Right.
it is up to him.
That's right.
And he pays, whether he uses it or not.
That's what bulk means.
Yeah, what you're paying extra for is.
You know, it's like replaying a tape
And a modem.
Yeah, I know.
back in 1917.
That's the contract that the delegate assembly voted on.
Exactly.
Who will be hooked up, whether
That's
he
the
uses
price
it or
you pay
not.
for being a snowbird.
Now, Ed's idea, and that's how things were here when I came to visit my folks, 1970s. As I said, there was a master Yagi antenna. It pulled in West Palm Beach. It was like a big antenna, and it pulled in Atlanta, and it pulled in Miami, and it pulled in Orlando. Everybody seemed happy until one day they weren't happy, and they voted in cable. Now, you can't take that back. Now you're gonna take that back.
I'll tell you how.
No,
It's a lot more expensive than it was. You're getting less for your money. And Stuart's argument is partially right. You're getting a reduction of, let's say, $35. Buy what you want. So whatever you paid, you got $35, pick what you want. We won't go to this discussion of they're making money here. They're not spending zillions of dollars on television to get more customers because they're losing money. And my personal opinion, they don't stock here, they stock on the street. And I heard, well, they have other customers. They don't have 7,805 customers on the street. It should be stocked here. That was part of our deal.
The nice thing about this, we're gonna have an entire year to discuss this. Because if we don't do it now, and it's not brought up to the delegates, and it's not put in the budget, the discussion of this will take place in September, October of 2023, which we could bring in another vendor, we could stop discussing it. It's not going for a vote, it's not being put in the budget, and even if they agree to it, it would be in next year's budget. So we're just wasting time.
I agree with
I
you.
agree.
I agree with you.
Okay,
I think we're consensualized on this motion is tabled
that's it, yes.
for further
Give
information.
me that S.
All right,
See,
now, we have yet to get the treasurer's report.
It's past my bedtime. I thought I was on the top, now I'm on the bottom. Ladies and gentlemen, I think this was a very good discussion. And I still think that we
We
should
have a
pay
copy.
nothing instead of everything.
but you have copies of the vote?
What do you, haven't got one?
No,
I know it by heart, so don't worry.
okay. Thank
You have it?
No,
Yeah,
I have it now.
I don't
I have it
one.
now.
Whoa.
Well, we still short?
Yeah, you nobody here that
I know
has
who you
one.
gave it to.
Over
If you
here.
need copies, I'll go make some.
Well,
You made a mistake in the math.
it got stuck in the computer.
Blame it on the computer. Everybody blames it on the computer.
I need one unstapled copy and I'll make it.
I'll get it.
In the meantime, we should all recess and go to the local bar and have some.
I guess those
I
are,
don't drink.
those are a part.
I know you could drink.
I don't drink, but I sure can eat.
Thank you.
I got it.
Actually, there was no president's report, no, you know what, I'm not gonna say anything.
They don't have imported beer, I'm not going.
I'm not staying here all day.
What? I should get up and run around for this?
You can move your chair a little bit.
You still have
Should be 5 pages.
officers' reports of presidents.
I got it.
Thank you.
Hang on.
Wait,
Pen
All
underneath
right,
it.
folks, this is beginning to remind me
No,
of
don't say
a
it.
Jack Nicholson movie.
Don't say it, don't say it.
Let's go ahead with the treasurer's report. Ed, please.
Certainly.
Okay.
Just give me 1 second. Now I could hear. I want to bring to your attention that the format has changed since last year in order to have a more transparent budget that people can see and eliminate some of the questions that have gotten over the last 2 years, and that is, what are the general expenses? I can't tell you how many associations called, and when they called Seacrest, they said, speak to Yuko. So if we go, and that's together, you will see line 4,100.1.
Where are we?
First page.
Front page, first page.
And that
Right up on
is
top.
on the top
Oh,
of page 1, the second item, and it says 1,068,097.
797.
And invariably,
On the right, Patricia.
our unit owners know what is general, and we spend a lot of time. So I believe that it's on page 2. So it's still through.
Down here.
Oh, let's go to 3.
what?
Okay, I'm sorry.
Where-
The only page that doesn't have a number is page 3.
Okay,
So 1 and 2 is numbered, number 3. If you look at the last item, it says total 7,600 is the line item, and it says general and administrative expenses.
listen,
Take your time, page
Very last
There's no
line.
page on it.
yeah, where's the amount he's saying?
All the way down, where your finger
The
is.
very
Patricia.
last one.
The very last line.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Has everybody found that?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm having a problem.
If you look at the last line, it's 1,068,797, which is what comprises the general expenses. And it's a good question. And those general expenses are enumerated. And there is, which I haven't accomplished this year, another type of budget, which would numbers would come out, but what it would tell you is what you really have variable that you could change. Because our budget, and I have a separate schedule, which is in the $8 million range, 6 million plus, there's nothing you could do about it. It's sort of spread out. In other words, if you took ambulance, you can't change it. It's contract. If you took cable, again, it's contract. If you took landscaping, it's contract. And you can go down, I don't want to be repetitive, but you could go down many more items, and it would get us, for instance, a non-changeable item is Mr. Forster. Unless you fire him, you're gonna pay the salary that he's getting paid, and you can't change it unless we had a meeting to change it. if you go to some of the other items, insurance. If you go to insurance, that's what we gotta pay. So if we move it all up into the top, we would be left with a lot less items that we have the ability to change. And besides that, it gives us, not only here, but all the unit owners, what we're fixed with. In other words, we've encumbered ourselves to $6.5 or $7 million unless you change something like getting rid of $3.5 million for cable. So we will go down item by item, and I'll just summarize one thing for everybody that may not want to know it. Our
Where are we going now? Page 3?
dues that are on this budget is less than last year. Okay, I believe it was 533 last year. And it wasn't just taken willy-nilly. And what I will point to, which is a big number, last year I opted to reduce the gross amount of reserves for roadways. We had 15 million before, we have 12 million now. And I did that again. I didn't change the number, but extended the useful life, and I didn't pick that out of the sky. I got a hold of Simmons and White, which in 2012 was an engineering firm that we hired about M&M. Actually, it was in 2010, and in 2012, they rendered a second report reviewing the work. So I called them and finally got through to the gentleman who actually did the work in 2010 and 12. And my question was simple. Donald has been patching this thing up forever, and he's only using one color. He could use other colors, we could play hopscotch. But I said, is this gonna work? And he was gonna come down here gratis and look at it, but the time fell. But what he did say is the general useful life of the blacktop is 20 years. Not that everything lasts 20 years, but that is a generality which could be here in Florida. Okay, it's different elsewhere. He also, and I discussed this with Donald, although you think patching can go on forever, it really can't, because the blacktop disintegrates and whatever it is that keeps it together doesn't last forever. And quite frankly, I think this is a big item, so I was going back and forth with Donald. We have all this money, it's sitting there, we're losing money being sitting there. Why can't you do some of the big areas? And that just went back and forth. However, I'll get to that part.
Didn't you say you lowered that fee from last time?
Say that,
Didn't you say you lowered that fee from last time?
the fee,
The reserves, I mean, yeah, the reserves. Didn't you say you lowered it?
we have over 10 million now, and we're gonna have over 11 million. You got 10 million 8 roughly now, and you're gonna have another million on the end of next year. So now, do you keep cutting back? Not necessarily. You can't guarantee that the economy that we have now is gonna be the economy in a year or
I
two.
understand that, Brian.
So
So,
the general feeling is, I didn't reduce anything. What I did is, the big item was that according to Simmons and White, we had a 15-year useful life. I changed it to 20 years, so that reduced a portion.
I see what you're saying.
The other portion of the reserves was reviewing this end of the year reserves going forward. And what we did is we applied over, for instance, there was a balance in the account of the Millennium that we were putting a reserve away for. So I didn't eliminate it, I applied it to other items, and if you look at it, we have several items now that are completely reserved. So the bottom line didn't change, but going forward, if I have all the money, I'm not gonna keep putting reserves in it. A small item was what we had, take your time, on generators. If you look, there was a $20,000 balance in generators. I discussed this with Donald, and he said he doesn't make any commissions on generators. However, we had paid up for the generator reserve. So we reduced that, it's in the money, and put a new 20,000 that had to be paid over the next slide.
This is really just service though.
Hmm?
You're not buying any new generators. This is just servicing the
Right.
generator. Maintenance.
Well, there's a reserve item for replacement if that need arises. We have 3 large generators. If one blows up, gotta have money to replace it, right?
Okay.
It's like a car. It's unlikely to happen.
The balance is
Could
4,000.
could you just preface any line item, just
Excuse me?
as soon as I can?
This is a reserve.
What did you-
Tell us what line item you're talking about, please.
Okay, let's go. As my old
Look in the
friend
back.
Werner Wolf said, yeah, if those of you remember Werner, let's go to the videotape,
In the background.
which is the last page.
Yeah.
And that has a breakdown of our reserves.
Can I ask a question before we get there? You're talking, you were just talking about the roads. Now, if I recall, they did say it was a 15-year
That's right.
life.
That's what he said.
And we were doing reserves in order to,
I'm sorry to bother you,
in order
but
to
could you speak a little louder? I'm having,
put your hearing on.
I have it.
You're 15 years, all right, and we're supposed to put in so much per year to get to, I believe it was 15 million.
15, that's what he said.
All right, that's what we expected to pay for the roads next time. Now, if you're gonna go to 20,
It's gonna be the same.
No, he didn't
reason.
say it's going to 20. Oh, 20 years.
That's what he's doing.
But yeah, but if you're gonna kick the can for 5 years, that's 5 years that,
That minimizes the amount of money.
It's a good question, but I didn't just willy-nilly reduce it. If you recall, I discussed it with Ranger, which is a national
Okay.
blacktop
do
company.
you think that
Who
in 15
produces it?
years, it's gonna cost the same amount in 20?
No, I went back to 2010. When we did it, it started in 2010 and it really ended in 2012. And I called up Ranger and actually they sent a representative who I spoke to 10 years ago and she spoke to Donald. And I said,
I'm sorry, I don't wanna know who spoke.
well,
I-
I don't pick
I
this
asked
out.
a question and I just
Bob,
wanna.
I got your email which said, don't put anything in for 5 years. I'm answering you because I think it's worthwhile that I don't just look at a Skyhawk and say, okay, no. It comes from research.
I just don't like the fact that it seems that a lot of things have been, I was always told, if there is a reserve and it's for a particular thing, it's supposed to be for that and that alone.
Yeah,
All
that's
right,
right.
you are not supposed to touch a roof reserve, you're not supposed to touch the road reserves, all right? And here, we just went through doing that with operations. We took the reserves for the roof and it disappeared now to pay for the air conditioning. Now, we're gonna go through the same thing here? That's not, no.
Well, let me,
but we
I
did
don't wanna, overburden you. But I've come through that before. Many years ago, we had dedicated reserves. In fact, we actually had dedicated bank accounts. And it wasn't a bad idea, and it came to light that it wasn't a bad idea where my predecessor took all our reserves down to $3,000 or $30,000, didn't ask anybody, and eliminated it when we were doing the paving job with M&M.
Is that so?
However, since that time, we changed the rules, and this is not a dedicated, it's called a pool reserve.
Okay.
So from a ethical
What
standpoint,
I'm trying to get at
from a,
is,
let me
I know,
finish.
but he's telling me it's
An
not
ethical
dedicated.
standpoint, it's already approved that if I need to change from the roadway to the irrigation, it's there. It's there. Now, if you want to change back, you have to change the bylaw. The man is sitting there. Read the bylaws. This is a pooled reserve. I understand your
I'm not
position,
agreeing with
but
this.
you know,
You're stealing from Peter to pay Paul.
I'm not stealing
He
from
said it's not a
anything.
dedicated.
No, Bob,
We
I
have
didn't make
dedicated
this
reserves,
decision.
and that's the way it's
This
supposed to be.
decision was voted on by the delegates.
They changed the pool
Yeah,
reserve.
they did,
years
he
ago.
did, so that's it then.
So you could bring it back and try to have it voted in.
No, the
I
way I
never,
understood
Bob.
it, when they started doing the pooled reserves, there were still, road reserve was still
Right, there's a,
separate,
right.
all right? Roof reserve was still separate,
It's
all right?
not
And
separate.
then everything else was pooled.
So you're saying it was a
No.
dedicated reserve? It was a dedicated, it wasn't a pool reserve.
We went
Is
to
that
a
true or
pooled
not?
reserve.
We did.
I didn't particularly like the idea. I consider that a slush fund. Yep. But that's what we did.
So you did it, then you
You
did it.
know, to do this, all right, and it bugs me because, and I know operations is operations and whatever, but you're taking a reserve that's for a particular thing, and I'm talking about the roof reserve over there, which they don't even have enough to pay for the roof. Now they took that reserve to pay for the air conditioning. Should we have a hurricane this year, we're screwed. We're not gonna have it, we're not gonna have
But
it.
that's only for the deductible. That's all that fund is for.
Yeah,
It's not to
the
replace
deductible.
the roof. It's to, in case there's an
You
insurance.
said it was
claim.
voted on, so you can't, we're going on and on over.
I know.
Look, this is very
I
interesting,
just
but you
don't like
forget, you
reserves.
forget what the other side of that was. Pay for it or go to court.
Correct.
And you never know where you're gonna end up when you go to court with a
Yeah.
bunch of judges that walk hand in hand and have lunch with each other. And Attorney Levy at the Bath and Tennis Club. That's why that happened. Okay? So we did vote for a pooled reserve here.
Yes.
Okay?
Thank you.
And I would point out to you, M&M didn't do a particularly good job in some of the back areas. There's a bunch of crumbling, half-baked asphalt and pebbles. And I don't think that stuff's gonna hold up for 20 years.
Okay.
Well, definitely not go with them.
It hasn't already, because or else Donald has other things to do. He could play golf than putting in patches.
All right.
Okay, can we move on?
I don't mind.
Are there any
I'm gonna get-
questions on Ed's draft budget?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
What I'm trying to do, I'm trying to say I didn't pull it out of the
I got
spot.
She has a
I
question.
think you did,
All
Bobby.
right, I'm not very good at this, but number Number 7202 on page 2.
Yeah.
Okay, let me
Am
see.
I reading that you're budgeting $20,000 for excursions?
For what?
Where is that?
Excursions?
Yes.
I know, where is it?
What number?
Mine's right in the middle of the page,
Ridiculous.
7200.
Killed it.
No, but I'm saying that should be, we
You
don't
don't
need
have
that
to-
much.
I can't even
Well,
find it.
I know you're involved with that. That's what I put in, we put it in
I can't
before,
find
you
it.
don't have to
My
spend.
eyesight is not.
Okay,
We're talking nickels and dimes.
on that particular line item, all right, I make a motion to cut it in half.
Yes.
Oh, I see
You
it.
can't,
Why not?
Sure you can.
because you could either say you don't want it, but it's gotta go to the delegate.
It's a line item.
No, Rod said long ago, every step you can make modifications.
Right.
And the final on that was the delegates can make modifications.
And when you got the chair saying she only needs half of what you got on
It's
there.
never been,
I
the
say
first time I heard it, it goes, excuse me, it goes presented to the officers, they either want it or not, they make their recommendation.
What's the,
Same thing goes to the, what do you call it? Executive board,
the
They make their
officers can make
recommendations.
changes in.
and then it goes to the delegate.
I have a motion on the floor. Do I have a second?
Bob, would you like to restate your motion, please?
For the line 7202 to be reduced to $10,000.
Is that what?
More than enough.
I'll second
Any
Second by
further
Patricia.
discussion on this?
Yes. I will make a note that that's what the officers want,
So I'm
and,
good.
excuse me, and it'll go to the delegate assembly. That's who makes the final decision.
it. He
Absolutely.
said that. He did say
So I'm not changing it, I'll make a note, that's what the officers want.
We,
All right, I'll change it, Ed. You don't have to bother.
that. Okay,
I can make a spreadsheet like anyone else.
That's not right. though.
Every step along the way can modify this draft. And Rod said that years ago.
I'd
Yeah,
like
we
to
have done
see
it
it.
years ago.
And we
It's
have-
okay with me, you're talking nickels and dimes.
I'm going by the recommendation of the chair.
No,
Right.
first of all, I'm not the chair.
What do you mean not the chair?
I am not the chair.
Oh, I thought you were the chair. I'm sorry.
You're the treasurer,
Yes.
Chair.
I'm sorry.
A bus costs $600.
Right.
If we want a bus once a month, we don't come anywhere close to $20,000. Okay, I have one other question. Again, I don't know how to read a budget, but I don't see anywhere on here a line for the social events committee.
We just discussed that earlier.
so
You're
take the
talking,
10,000.
you're talking about what you put in.
I don't see it
So
anywhere.
take.
You may
the
not
10,000
see it,
from
but
the
it's there.
excursion.
It's there. And we don't show every single line item, but it's in the budget. Yes, of course. You don't see every single little account.
So what is it? 763.
Page 3, the one with no number, 3/4 of the way down.
Say that again, Foster?
Page 3, the one with no number,
Yes.
3/4 of the way down on the left, number 7637, as David said.
Oh, seven.
Show me, I
Are
can't see
the
it.
volunteers?
Yes,
Where?
I don't know where you're seeing it.
I don't see it either.
Oh, I got it.
All
Page 3.
volunteers, and you're putting in 1,000, and we voted
I'll find it.
4,500.
We just went through the other side. You thought it was too much.
That's something else.
Make up your
It's
mind.
another line, it's another line item.
I can't
Can we
find
get
it.
through my motion, please?
These line items aren't in.
Page 3, halfway
I
down.
don't know.
Oh, I see it, volunteers.
Yeah.
42,
You know,
45,
folks, Bob makes a good point. He made a motion.
I'm sorry, what was the motion?
Who seconded it?
No, I
Fausto,
did, Patricia seconded.
Patricia seconded it.
Right.
And we ought to dispose of this motion. Right? A reduction of the line to 10K, right?
Okay,
Right.
yes,
7202, the exclusion item to be reduced to 10,000.
okay.
David Israel,
Yes.
Ed Grossman,
No,
John Granaccio,
Yes.
Stuart Richland,
Yes.
Fausto Fabro,
Yes,
Yes,
Jessica Caputo,
I made it.
Bob Rivera.
Indubitably. I like that word.
I will vote yes. Motion carries.
Okay,
All right.
so next,
Okay, now we can go to volunteers.
Yeah.
2637.
Now, where are you seeing this boys and girls?
1737.
Page 3, halfway
It's the
down.
one that's not numbered.
it is number. It is number. It says volunteers.
no, no, no.
No.
The page is not numbered.
Oh,
Page is
No,
not
the
numbered.
page is not numbered.
who's on first? Who's on
It's-
first?
What's on second?
Volunteer.
7637.
You went from 6,000 to
Oh
1,000.
my God, 3 o'clock already.
I know.
I had an appointment.
4,500. Something, call it volunteers for 4,500.
All right, you're saying there's not enough money in there?
Yes.
No,
Right,
that's correct.
So I'm gonna make a motion. What is it gotta be?
4,500.
$4,500.
Voted in finance.
I make a motion that line 7637 go up to $4,500.
Second.
There you go. Now you got a second. Now you can.
6,000.
No, it's not. It's 1,000. Look to the right. It went from
It's 1,000.
6,000
Oh,
to
I'm sorry.
1,000.
And rename the committee to social events.
Right,
Okay, social events, and how much?
4,500.
Okay, final.
Discussion on this?
No.
No. Call the question. We already
Call the
discussed.
question.
Make the motion, I'm sorry.
Fausto,
I made the motion.
I second.
Second, Bob.
Bob second.
Okay, the motion is to change item 7637, currently volunteers, for that line item to go up to $4,500 and the name to be changed to social events.
Correct.
Oh, wow.
Change the
Michelle?
name to what?
Yes,
Social
Social
events,
events.
so it covers a few things.
So you can get your
Makes sense.
100-year birthday party.
Ed Bros-
Okay.
Ed, yes?
What's that?
Ed, are you voting yes? Ed, are you?
I said
voting yes?
okay.
He said yes, he said okay.
John Granaccio,
Yes.
Stuart Richland,
Yes.
Fausto,
See,
Tricia,
what's this? Yes, no,
Bob,
yes.
Oh, yeah.
and I vote yes, it's unanimously carried.
Are you gonna serve us
Is that
dinner?
helpful?
all right. Moving right along.
Good.
What else you got?
What else do I have?
Yes.
I do have,
Air conditioning, not enough?
if I had it, I'd like to dispose of where the money is. There was a question of, and I think we may have finished with reserves. because That's a big item. And the only way I could show it to you is we have it all here. I changed it last year.
Where are you?
I changed it this year on advice, and basically,
I don't know.
look, let's go down, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
Page 5.
6,
6?
beautification fund.
Okay, hold on.
Yes, page 5.
Okay, what are we looking at? Beautification fund?
Yes, if you notice, that's fully funded. And the current request by Stewart was 20,000. Laundry equipment replacement is for big stuff, and that's 60,000. We did replace a machine, a dryer this year, and it was what, $2,000?
No, we didn't.
2,000
When did we replace the
for a
machine?
dryer?
Well, that's what it
We
said.
rebuilt machines.
What?
We have rebuilt the machines.
Coke?
Rebuilt.
We have rebuilt the machines.
Well, whatever it was 2,000. Okay?
Well, how many machines?
Computer and telephone equipment, which we've been talking about upgrading, was put at 60,000. That's fully funded.
Okay,
The office, you go office, guardhouse, and 5,400, which must be an address. That is not fully funded.
no, it's-
It has 15 out of 30,000.
It
Oh, yes,
Okay, I'm sorry, but I'm going back to,
no, I hold it,
all right?
Justice,
You
I'm sorry.
said
Jim.
beautification's fully funded at 30,000? Now,
Excuse me,
Is
What
this carrying over from this year? Next year?
what's over?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah, yeah.
in that case,
Laundry equipment is 60,000.
It's not talking about one.
I'm talking about beautification.
Beautification.
Oh, beautification is fully funded.
If beautification is fully funded, then on line 7,400, under beautification, you got 20,000. I move that we bring that balance to zero.
For what?
Because
Good catch.
why,
That's
Good
very
catch,
good.
Bob.
That's
why
very
would we
good.
pay another $20,000 if it's already funded 10,000 over what they're asking for?
Beautification.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah,
So
You got any
What
problem?
line is it, Bob? What line?
line number
No, I said
7,400.
originally $20,000 was, okay,
And you got 30K in it now.
right.
so why would you add another 20?
Be careful, are we rolling these over, is this zero-based
He said
budget?
it was rolling over.
Okay,
If it's rolling over, then
Reserve,
we don't need to fund
reserve.
it again
all right.
We hardly spent any money from the beautification
for
this
2
year.
years.
Well, I think a better identification is what you see as beautification. In other words, $20,000, I used to live very close to the Botanical Gardens in the Bronx, which was beautiful. What do we expect to spend for $20,000?
All right, can I go on this one?
Where is 20? I don't see
Look,
that.
Page 2.
Page 2.
Having a $30,000 reserve
looking at it.
line for our
Landscape
ornamental
maintenance.
landscaping is ludicrous. If a tornado came and scoured out all the trees and shrubs and we had
So
to
they would-
replace them, it would be
Look above
hundreds
that.
of thousands of dollars.
But we wouldn't,
Right, beautification
Oh, okay.
isn't,
I
excuse
see.
me,
we wouldn't
Beautification.
replace them.
beautification is an operating expense, which whether we employ the money or not is a different story. Beautification is something that's done every year just to spruce the place up. It's not a reserve item, in my opinion.
Well,
But if you wanted a number of what is the total value, replacement value of our trees and shrubs, we can get that number. We bring somebody in.
But we went through some of this years ago. You knock down a 30-foot tall
Yes,
palm tree. And I actually went to Rod on this. He says, no, you can put a baby in there.
of course.
You wouldn't go out and spend
Another,
$1,000 a foot
okay.
for a fully grown palm tree. I wouldn't, but no, I'm
Some
just saying.
communities will have it on no other way.
And-
The point that Bob is trying to make is if that line is fully funded before we put it in the 23 budget, why is 20,000 being added to a fully funded line? That was his question, right, Bob?
That's correct.
and the answer is,
Good catch, really.
what do you call beautification?
I don't know, what you call fully
Excuse
funded?
me, we changed the sign. That was beautification. Right?
I don't know.
If you decide to do some major work, a reserve is for something out of the ordinary. You could say, you don't need any reserves. It could all go into the operating account.
That's the purpose of.
Now, David says you wouldn't spend money like that on a tree. I don't know, how big of a tree, how many trees? It's supposed to represent something extraordinary.
No.
So we could plant seeds and it wouldn't cost nothing, you know?
All right. What do you want to do with the line? Nothing, anything?
I got a motion to get rid of that, to bring that line down to zero.
What do you think?
You want beautification?
It's already fully
Zero?
funded.
We had a $20,000 budget.
It's already funded for
Every-
30.
It's already got 30,000 in there.
Okay, okay.
That's what we're told. Yeah,
It's not, he's not funding it.
It's already funded.
It's there.
It's there.
I understand.
So if you
I got you, I got it.
excuse me, if you don't want it, that 30,000 will be moved to another item.
And that's my question, Bob, where do you want to put it? There's 30,000 in the reserve for this.
His motion is to remove the operation budget.
No, that's not.
Well, that's what you said. It's either funded or it's not funded.
Wait,
I, well, if we're
and
not,
it is
okay,
funded, but it's funded,
If-
you don't want a reserve, that money
if you
stays
wanna
in the
leave the
reserve.
20,000 there.
And the operations stay the operations.
So where does
Because
it
we're
go?
contradicting ourselves because we already said we had pooled reserves.
Right.
Right.
You gotta put a new tree in. You got money in the.
I say you take that 30,000, you put it in the pool reserve, period.
It's already in the pooled reserve.
Yeah.
This is all in the pooled reserve.
The last page is pool. But according to this, we have 30,000 in the pool reserve,
Right.
and the budget calls for an additional 20,000 to be put in next year. That's what this says.
Yeah.
2023 budget, it says 20,000. Yes, it does.
No, it says that's an operational
That's
expense.
nothing.
Okay.
Contribution to
Well,
reserve says nothing.
we need to speak English. I'm sorry.
The $20,000 is the budget for next year, which the committee would use in order for their various beautification
Right,
projects.
right.
If there was dramatic impact, we'll say,
Trees.
hurricane, disaster, somebody crashes into 2 or 3 trees, and it will exceed the $20,000, that 30,000, which is in the pooled reserve, would be used to replace those trees.
Right.
However,
In Ed's schedule, Stuart, it's clear, nothing is to be added.
I keep saying that.
It's blank.
Okay, so
This
that,
last chart.
that $30,000 is kind of, it's like extra money, right?
It's not gonna change the bottom line.
That's what he's saying.
It's not gonna change the.
Then let's get a new sign on the other gate.
But that's beautification.
that's the
Yeah, and we got $30,000 in
But it's got
beautification.
nothing to do with whether or not we're gonna put more money aside.
Money,
That's why I'm confused about what kind of motion you're making.
it's a motion where it comes from the lack of experience in the financial field and in preparing budgets. That's where it comes from.
All right, what changes are you making?
It's already made.
Can't make any changes.
That's
This is a
Doesn't
exposition.
understand.
That's all.
He says one thing and he does another.
Yeah.
Bob, did you have something?
Where was the,
No, I don't have enough experience to speak, so I'm gonna shut up.
Don't say that word.
You said it. Let's go forward, ladies and gentlemen.
let's go for it then.
I'm gonna take the other tack. Thank you.
I'll go on with that.
I won't be stepping on it.
What page are you on now?
I'm going back
Yeah,
To where?
to page 1,
Okay, page 1.
okay?
What are we looking at?
And I'm just gonna look at line, no number, net income, and it's $100,000.
Okay, I see.
What that represents is for everything except one item on the association income, we've allocated those expenses against what we're providing for. And what's happened is there is $100,000 less, more in provided that we have in the expense. So that supposedly is money that's available to go forward.
Okay, now, are we on page 2?
Page 3, no one liked, so they didn't put a number on it.
Oh, okay, no.
Page 2,
Uh-huh.
I think we went through, and in here, the only item that I feel really has to be explained
Is what?
is security.
Security.
Now, we have a proposal from Platinum
Mhm.
to change the nature of the contract and included in that proposal is that besides the hourly cost, that Yuko pays for gas. That was never in the contract before.
Is that so?
Yes,
You don't believe me?
No, no, I want to know, no, I
but
want to
we've
know.
taken care of that. We took care of that a month ago.
How did you take care of it?
We're going to get our own credit card and they will gas up the
Who
car
is
with
we, by the way?
the officers.
No, I didn't.
Well, if you weren't here, that's not our fault, but it was
You know-
voted on.
You're making decisions and seeing that it's final.
Okay,
That's
I'm sorry.
bullshit.
David, could you explain to the treasurer that this was brought to the officers?
Did you sign a contract? Do I see a
no,
new
no, no.
contract?
Let's not fight. Let's find out what's
The
going on.
only piece I understood we've already done is we've gotten an order in for a new credit card.
That doesn't
Because there were
change,
strange expenses showing up on it.
No.
So that we control,
but that doesn't change the contract.
Something else.
okay. Also,
You're
My
gonna use
understanding
a
is
credit card
They reduced the contract price because they're dumping fuel costs on us.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Okay. When we were pitched by the current vendor and the new vendors, they all added the gasoline on there with a pass-through charge.
Right.
A suggestion was made that you go buy their own credit card and we give the credit card to the company, Platinum, fuel up the gas on our credit card, and when we get the bill, we pay for it.
Okay.
And everybody thought it was a terrific idea. It was eliminated from the contract
I see.
and every officer was agreed to that.
Yes.
Except you, because you weren't there.
So,
Okay.
except for our treasurer, but everybody thought, everybody had a pass-through charge. They were gonna buy the gasoline and charge us
yes, they were.
above and beyond whatever their actual cost was. We cut that and everybody was very happy. It's no accounting. They don't have to worry about it. They don't have to mail us or email us a bill. Whatever we get is the price of gasoline and we can control it.
Right.
And everybody thought it was a terrific idea.
Except one thing, you didn't change the contract.
We don't have a new contract yet.
Well,
We haven't signed it.
wait a second. You don't have a new contract. That means, are you approving an expense before changing the contract? I don't think so. I don't care how many officers.
Ed, in the new contract, the fuel has been eliminated and UCO is accepting to pay it.
Where is the signed contract?
We don't have a signed
So you have
contract.
no change.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
No, don't tell me
Come on,
Jesus.
guys.
You don't have a contract. It also says that if you change something in excess of $2,500, it has to go to a vote.
All right. Whatever's gonna happen here, I believe this contract expires at the end of October. Correct.
Yes.
So something's got to be done now.
Yes.
We don't have forever.
Cam has the new contract.
Right.
And it just needs to be finalized, but we couldn't bring it today, right, Donald?
No.
Because of everything else that we have on the agenda.
As soon as we get past this budget, get it done. Monday morning, we'll get started on that. I would expect to bring the bid committee back probably
Okay.
next week.
All right, all right.
Okay, so
Well, if that's the case, then this $1,100,000 gotta go up another $125,000.
I think it goes the other way.
No, it goes this way.
No, it goes the other way.
It comes out $125,000 more.
My understanding is it was 200K less.
I don't see it.
why?
In other words, we were paying a
Without the
million.
fuel,
Oh, okay, that was the point,
What?
without the fuel, and that's where the reduction was.
And once the new contract is in place, you can make the adjustments to the budget.
Of course.
I don't think it'll affect your budget that much.
Why? Every $100 is a buck, every $1,000. So what would you like me to change it to? I have it at $1,100,000. What I saw came out to
I think you're
$1,250,000.
good to go with. Let it sit.
I think we should let it,
It's just a
leave
matter-
it at that amount,
It's just a matter of readjusting it once
right?
the new terms are set, all right?
I say leave it at that amount.
But your number is essentially correct.
Excuse me?
Your number is essentially correct. It's just There's gonna be two lines instead of one line.
It has, okay, but when you put the
But
two.
not now, Ed, and you're absolutely right. Once the contract is finalized, you're basically gonna make an
But,
adjustment to your
we're,
schedule.
we're looking for 2023, and if you say 1,000,001 is good, I saw 1,000,002. If it's 1,000,002, now's the time to change it.
Do it to 1,000,002. Do it to 1,000,002.
Okay.
Make
Okay,
the
so we're gonna
adjustments.
change it
That's the
to-
correct number.
Fine, fine. So that's plus 100,000
Right.
Yeah.
in expense. And I brought it up because that was an item that was sort of hanging around.
All right. That's good.
And really, the rest is pretty solid. As far as I'm concerned, and I'm keeping a little running total, 100,000 plus $8.
Okay. So what's the next item?
The next item is
I have a
page
I have a
3
question.
that has
Another
nothing,
question.
and I think we went through a great deal with that.
Ed,
He has a question.
what's
Oh,
that
you have a
question?
question, sir?
One of the original earlier draft budgets had an increase of $7.
Where?
Somehow you managed to get it down to $439.
That's because you had a budget that I didn't prepare,
Oh, okay.
and I didn't review,
All right.
and it didn't tie in.
All right, let's go to the next page.
That answers the question.
That's it.
Next case.
Next page, page 3.
Well, what's missing is the cost of my new Tesla.
Okay.
Oh,
Right next to my vacation in Hawaii. So what's next?
Well, I gotta tell you, this has been a lot of fun. And if you look at certain lines, it's really nothing you could do. We've been informed that electric is going up
Everything is going up.
and other items.
Ed, what was the percentage on FPL? We got the notice.
That's what we need. right.
What was the percentage
Percentage.
on FPL?
Was it
5%.
I thought it was 3.
Yeah, that was in the notice.
Oh, so I thought it was 3.
5%. So from now on, when we leave this office, all these lights should be turned off.
Remember that, all of you.
Just seems 5% is the magic number. for
Yeah, it is this year.
you know,
It is.
I'm gonna say the same thing I've said to Dan Cruz a dozen times.
What's that?
You get so much energy falling per square foot here in Florida from the good old sun.
Yeah, you said
And
that.
we ought to learn to make use of it.
I get calls every day to put up
Why do we do
the,
that? What's
need
that
to
on the
be-
roof?
The solar panels.
You need to be careful with that.
I understand. There's a lot of laws, there's a lot of rules, and there's a massive initial expense.
That's true.
But then
That's true.
it's a free ride.
No, 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 no.
Now, what is it?
What they've been doing in this state lately is they will turn around and tell you, yeah, you can get tax credit, they'll help you pay for it,
Yeah,
blah, blah,
they say
blah.
that. Mhm.
But you don't own the panels.
That's,
You're renting them.
that's if you choose to do that.
Now,
You can buy your own panels.
you buy the panel,
You can.
and I can tell you this from experience, you can save a lot of money.
I know.
You can actually make money.
So why don't we look into that?
I think it should be looked into. And
I
suggest
personally
that-
think every building here should have.
What do we pay for the electricity now?
Yeah,
Streetlights alone were $8,500. On the subject of streetlights, they've recommended that I contact FP&L
Mhm.
and see if we can get solar panels on the streetlights, just to
Really?
have a place to start. Here's the answer I got from FP&L.
Let me hear.
Give us another year. They're battle testing the technology
Oh, okay.
and because we're gonna buy it from them. So they basically have to approve. They said it's there.
You ever drive up north on the I-95?
Yeah, twice a year.
This is where I got the idea from.
Yes.
The little telephones,
Oh,
and they're all
Oh,
powered
yeah.
by their own little solar panel. Huh?
The technology exists, but it has not been approved by FP&L.
Oh, of course not.
So the answer I got was give us a year, but it was a yes, just not.
Okay, so,
If we're gonna look into it, you need to contact Tesla's solar company, because he has just come out with not solar
oh, yeah,
panels,
you said that.
but solar tiles that go on the
Right.
roof.
Yeah.
And they will match, it doesn't even look like a solar panel, they're actually built in to the covering that they're putting on the roof.
Gotcha.
And that's something that would be beneficial to the whole village.
Yeah,
All
right.
right, because can you imagine if every building here
Excuse me.
had those solar panels?
The,
The power company
all
would
right.
be paying us.
we're a little off track. It's my fault.
So can we go on now to,
Next.
what do we have next?
Well, as far as I'm concerned, at this particular time, we've added $100,000 in expense.
Mhm.
We reduced $4,500 in expense and $10,000 worth of expense, which is 15,000 minus plus 100, so we're plus 85,000 on this budget,
Okay,
which is close to $1. 100,000 is usually $1.
All right. That's
all
right.
right, so,
Every dollar is about 97K. Roughly. All right.
Now, on page 1,
Oh, not done.
I made 3 notes.
if accepted.
We covered Breeze Line.
Mhm.
We covered the reserves. However, we didn't cover, and I'm bringing to the floor again, treasury bills, which today brings us $200,000. Now, we've done some more research. John, do you have the research?
Yes, I've been watching and reading all your comments that we did before and all these treasury bills, you know, your concerns and whatever was going on. So I called Jerome Powell. He's the chairman of the Federal Reserve Bank.
So he is.
Yes, actually, he was in a teleconference with some reporters, so I didn't get him, but I got his staff.
That would be the Jerome Powell. It just raised interest rates
Right, his
75
basis points now to 3.25 is going up. That's actually gonna start slowing the economy down a little bit.
Yeah.
The next, they want to start laying people off. It's also gonna reduce the, money that's going into the market. So he's trying to stop that, but his staff was telling me by next year that the basis points is probably gonna go over 4.6 to slow things down a lot more.
And John,
Just so up in
what
inflation.
effect do you think that basis point raise will have on the yield for the T-bills? My
No,
understanding
it won't
is-
have, it won't have an effect on the actual T-bills, because when we buy T-bills, they're sold at a discount.
I understand how it
And
works.
it's yield to maturity. What happened now, when it started talking about this, a month or so ago, the interest rates were like 3 point something.
And
Now, as of this morning, it was
John, is there
4.30.
not a converse relationship between,
Stocks and bonds?
no,
No.
I'll finish my sentence.
All right.
Is there not a converse relationship between the prime interest rate and the discount rate on T-bills?
Yes,
Historically, it's been my experience, so.
yes. It won't really affect what we get. Whatever price we get, that's the price we're gonna get for that period. You're not gonna be able to keep up with inflation at 8.30.
Right.
But we will make some really solid money on all this, especially at 4.30. I spoke to them, his office, and they sent me this. I know your concern was, well, we never did T-bills before. Is it safe? I had them send me this. US Treasury bonds are fixed income securities issued and backed by the full faith and credit of the federal government, which means the US government must find a way to repay the debt by any means possible.
Can I see that?
Yes, you can. I actually took some of I have a treasury bill here for $1 million here,
I'll take it. He'll put it in the reserve.
and this is what they look like going back then. I got that actually from the Fed Direct, the website. I took that off their website. All treasury issues, not just the bills, all treasury issues are guaranteed by the United States government, not just the T-bills and notes and bonds and the money markets and
How long would this $5 million be locked up?
it's liquid.
Huh?
If you lock it up, you could sell it the next day. It says right on there that it's
No
all
fees
liquid,
incurred?
no fees incurred.
And
The only
it
tax
has
you're gonna
lower
pay is the
returns.
Federal Reserve because the state
we-
government can't tax the
Can
Federal
we go
Reserve.
directly to the market or must there be an intermediate?
no,
broker?
you go to
Go-
Treasury direct on the.
Correct. If you go to a secondary market, where there is a secondary market, you might wind up paying a
You wanna see this,
broker
David?
fee. You can have this
I've seen
copy.
that.
Okay.
I wanna see the $1 million thing.
Oh, yeah. I'll just-
Why does it say treasury bonds have lower rate?
Here,
Lower
here's a million.
returns?
All treasury.
So,
My only input
Guaranteed.
into this, and then we're gonna make a few enemies.
I'm gonna make a.
Current bylaws do not allow us,
Wait a
do
minute,
not
let me hear.
allow us to do treasury bills.
Well,
The bylaws,
Wait, let me hear
please
it.
stop.
Let me hear.
What
first.
we had 10 years ago, 20 years ago is irrelevant. The current bylaws do not allow us to do treasury bills.
Oh,
So after you get the bylaws changed, and after you get everybody to vote on it, bring it back to us and we'll discuss it.
just let me ask a question on that. It was in there and for some reason it was taken out.
Yes.
oh, that's because I
Who
have.
remembers why?
It doesn't matter what it was, it
I
was
know.
changed.
I remember why.
Okay, hold on. Olga was here.
wait,
I
I'll,
remember why, because I was at that meeting.
Ah.
The reason they took it out is because they said it was redundant.
What does that mean?
That meant,
redundant to what?
that meant that it was part of the government securities. And it's automatically guaranteed by the government. That was the reason they used when they took it out.
Doesn't make a lot of sense.
It doesn't make any sense.
Well, if you read
But
it,
I wish you had.
I have the.
I could pull it up, I have it.
All right.
That was the reason, I
you-
recall that
let
very
Richard
vividly,
Let
because I was at that meeting.
Anita was chair, right?
Yes.
Bob, I have these
Anita
in my
was chair,
drawer.
And she said, and they said it was
I wasn't around.
redundant.
I have one.
It's part of the
I was in the
government.
business.
I want a real one.
Oh,
But
I
we
have-
don't need.
I had this
we do
for 50
not-
years,
Because
is
what
where I
they were
worked.
doing at
I gotta
that
go,
meeting
ladies.
is they were
Excuse me.
removing redundant things. That's what they were doing at
Wait,
that
this
meeting.
doesn't make a lot of sense.
Doesn't make any sense at all.
Yes.
But it may not make any sense, but
It's
if
usually the
you're
Secretary of State or
trying to
President.
eliminate and
Yeah.
shorten something, and treasury bills is within government securities,
But
that was the specific reason they used.
Whatever the reason was, Olga, the bylaws were voted on and approved by the delegates
I
as
understand.
they stand.
I understand that, and if it
No,
was a
nobody
mistake,
understands that.
if it was a mistake and a stupid
If I
move on
could
their
read-
part, so be it. But that was the specific reason, because I recall it very vividly. And I understand now, you want to change the bylaws to do it, that's fine, put it in there, but that was the reason, they were trying to cut useless words out.
Doc,
I'll read from the, Olga's correct. John said it's backed by the government. The current bylaw says all such deposits must be secured by the United States government
Right.
or in a bank. He just said these bonds are secured by the United States government. That is why T-bills were redundant. It's not needed.
Well,
all right, this,
do you deposit?
where is this backup? FDIC or SIPC?
That's not the point. I'm sorry, David, according to what he read, all deposits need to be government insured. Show me the bank that holds the T-bill.
It's
It's
not.
not in a bank.
it's not in a
It's a
bank.
piece of paper.
It may
That's
not
all it is.
even, for 5 million, you get a piece of paper. However, Fausto,
Yes.
I've been doing some research. I'll buy you a dinner if you could find where it was voted on. I'm glad you were at that dinner, however, very easily you pick up the 2006 bylaws. In 2007, it says 2006 amended. So that, and 2000, let me finish. 2009, it's deleted. I'd like to see who could find where it was voted on the delegate.
Delegates, you go to the delegate assembly that approved for months, we
You
approved the
show me
bylaws.
that because it isn't in the
Are
database.
you saying the current bylaws were not approved by the delegates?
Yeah, but they're wrong.
Oh, I'm sorry, you're right, they're wrong, yes.
You,
Sorry, I apologize.
if you take a counterfeit bill, do you think it's really right? It was never changed legally.
Oh,
Wow.
Tom,
okay.
All right, the question of whether or not to purchase T-bills is, to my mind, an asset allocation issue, not a budget issue, and this is the budget.
True,
So,
maybe in your mind.
to my
but
mind, yes,
Wrong.
which is, of course,
The treasurer is responsible, and it always happened before. And the purchase of T-bills generates income according to the bylaws, except Fausto
That's not my
says
question. The question is, it's not a line item on the budget.
it is.
It's a discussion about asset allocation.
Hold it.
And it's a
Do you
different-
notice
it's a
it's
different-
on here? Did you read that?
Yes,
It's on there.
I did read it, but it's not, it doesn't affect the bottom line.
Yes, it does.
This is a
yes,
budget.
Father.
I'm out of here.
Just like when I put on last year's budget,
'Cause this-
okay,
Same thing over and over.
what it
Are
was.
are you making a motion?
If I can make it, I'll make it. Last time, no one second, I think someone seconded. John, would you like to make a motion?
Nobody's gonna decide.
What's the motion?
Not an officer, won't be making a motion.
I can't make a motion?
No.
Okay. I would like to make a motion that Yuko could purchase treasury bills, and the last time, limited to $5 million. And my, it's not that much money.
We'll consider.
David,
Let him finish.
portfolio,
Could you
5
please-
million isn't much.
Finish your,
I'm trying to get through this thing.
just,
Okay, limited to $5 million.
We got a second on this?
You know what? I'm gonna second it just so we have a vote.
Okay,
All right, fair enough.
have a second. Discussion.
I have a discussion.
Go.
Is it in the budget? Is it a line, has it been assigned a line
Can you
item?
read?
I can, there's no line item.
Stop asking me stupid questions.
I'm asking,
why do you have to talk like
Okay.
that? Really?
Because we're going through, this is the man who voted against $250,000 in the bank across the street.
We're not gonna start
How
on that.
can I
let's not
listen to
start.
him?
Let's not start. I asked a simple question.
It's not
I
a
don't-
simple question.
It is.
You're just making.
Can we bring up the vote?
Wait,
Can we?
vote against it, Fausto.
We're in discussion.
I guess
Such as
It's
it
not
is.
discussion.
I didn't know that socialism was taking over America.
Oh, you know something?
Fausto,
Yes,
go ahead.
I was trying to make a simple point. This is it's added to a piece of paper, but it has not been assigned an item line of the budget. So if you're gonna make it part of the budget, it should be assigned a specific number and say, this is part of the budget, so we can vote on it or not vote on it, because we have line item veto. That's what I'm trying to say. And I'm only a stupid immigrant, so.
I didn't say that, but.
Oh, I did. And
I'll
I'm trying
give
to
it a
explain
number.
something to you.
Right, there's a motion, there's a motion on the floor.
The number for the T-bills will be 1 million. That will be the line item in the book.
That doesn't make any
That
sense.
doesn't make sense.
Hold the vote, please.
Well, I'd love to hear the motion through all the chatter. Go ahead.
The only thing I have written down is that Ed Grossman made a motion to allow the treasurer to purchase T-bills up to $5 million.
All right, is there a second on that motion?
I seconded it
Got a
just so we have
second.
the
Is
vote.
there any further discussion on this motion?
We've had all the discussion we need.
Call vote, please.
David Israel,
No.
Ed Grossman,
Yes.
Don Granaccia,
No.
Stuart Richland,
No,
Fausto Fabro,
No,
Patricia Caputa,
No,
Bob Rivera.
Negative.
I'm voting no. Motion does not.
Now, are we at a point where we can ask for a vote on the draft budget as amended?
As amended.
what is the bottom line? That's my question, sir.
I don't-
85,000.
85 is,
85K up.
Okay, so what is,
approximately $1.
okay,
So it's 3:30.
It's less than $1.
okay.
Okay,
So but what is the total last at the bottom? Is it $4, $5?
No.
$4.39 plus $1?
339.
Okay, I'm in there.
Round it out, it's 4:30.
$4.39 plus about $1,
Okay.
85 cents.
Okay, so we're looking at close to $4, $5 and change.
And I would remind you that we're looking at $20 on the WPRF side.
I know.
Mentioned that in passing,
And
I
maybe
know that.
more.
maybe
No.
more.
I thought it was 20's fine.
No, they came up.
Squeeze them till they squeak, all right. So we have a motion,
A motion to accept the budget as presented with the correction.
with the modification,
With
as amended.
As modified.
We got a second?
And before we do that, what are the amendments, what are the changes? One is for excursion. and the other is
Excursion
For beautification,
I got it.
and the social events
so three things.
Yes.
and,
100,000.
Yes.
no, this was,
Security went to 1.2.
One to two.
yeah, right, that went up.
Ed, you got all those changes?
Excuse me?
You got all those changes?
No, there's $10,000 reduced beautification
Okay.
Yeah, we have that.
and $4,500 reduced.
Social event.
Social events.
That's an increase of 3,500 on what's on the line.
85.
Is everyone on the same page, what you're voting on? As far as the changes? Yeah.
I'm sorry,
Okay.
that specific line was put in for 1,000
Uh-huh.
and it was raised to 4,500, right?
Yes.
Yes,
So there's an increase of 3,500, not a decrease.
yes.
Oh, wait,
All right.
35.
yeah, okay, that's correct.
Just want to make sure,
Yeah.
you know?
It's a big deal. You're voting on a budget.
So-
You should know what you're voting.
Yeah, I know that. So with all the changes, you said 85,000.
So you take 100,
Approximately.
100,000 less 35,000. And
But that's less than.
it still will be under $1.
Oh, yeah.
We need a med tech.
Okay, so I made a motion. Who wants to second
I'll second it.
it? Okay.
Sorry, Stuart.
Did you get my
Go ahead.
motion?
Go ahead.
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Stuart seconded.
Stuart seconded. Can we call?
Is there any further discussion on
I
this?
think we discussed enough already.
So did we go up or down?
Huh?
About 70.
All right.
About
75, 80.
Call the motion
You want to call the vote,
so we can
Joanne?
get on with life.
I'm gonna say yes.
Patricia made a motion to accept the budget as presented, as amended by
With the
approximately.
modifications, with the modifications. Just say with the
With
modifications.
modification.
Yeah. Right?
Fine.
Okay. Is that
Okay,
okay?
good. David Israel,
Yes.
Ed Grossman,
Yes.
Okay.
Dom Granaglia,
Yes.
Yes.
Fausto Fabro,
Yes,
Yes,
I said yes.
thank you.
Bob Rivera,
I didn't get a
Bob.
chance to speak. Bob. Yeah. Say yes. Say C.
yes,
Why not?
Yes.
and I vote yes, it's carried.
All right.
Unanimously.
This will now go forward. You'll regenerate another chart to executive board.
One of the problems.
As an officer, I don't have anything to say. We should say-
All right, let me say this about that.
Yes.
There are certain things in the bylaws about Delta, the lead time. And you had this before, and Rod said you could go with it to delegate assembly and come back to executive board later.
Ratification.
Yes.
Right.
I hope you all.
So if that's something you want to do, it's fine. You think about that. It's your call.
Well, Ed, why,
Excuse me.
what's the problem with executive board?
Richard brought up
The timeline.
that according to the bylaws, the delegate assembly has to get the budget no less than 10 days in advance. And that, I had spoken to David a week or two ago, and on his calendar, he put the executive board for tomorrow, but it never hit the schedule. And that would have put us in time, because I think the delegate assembly is around the 7th or something.
7th year.
Correct.
And if you go to the end of the month, you're not gonna have 10 days.
So what are we going?
The executive board is on the 30th of this month.
Yeah, it's not enough.
Not enough.
It's not enough.
We can
Why is it?
give this out, we could give it out after he makes a new chart.
Yeah, as soon as you're done, Ed, get it over.
Okay,
This has happened before.
okay.
And what Rod said, you go to your board of directors and then you come back to the executive board leader.
Okay,
Because it's not a problem.
so then it's not a problem. Okay, you heard it here.
We've had bigger problems.
Yeah, for
When you're
sure.
ready to release that,
I'll make the changes and you'll.
I can send it to 2,300 people. I assure
Make
you,
it
I'll
tomorrow.
get 98% of delegates.
You could do it at
That
home.
email blast.
What?
You could do it at home. Can you make it tomorrow so we can get it done?
No, because this is not an Excel that I have and I have
Oh,
to.
okay. All right.
I could cross it out, put it, and we initial it, and you could have it today.
Well, that's,
Word perfect.
What?
Word perfect.
no, if he initials, no, if you initial it, it's okay.
I moved that, if we're here another 14 minutes, that the president and the treasurer.
All right, look,
Okay, all right,
folks,
the officers have
it's
nothing to
getting
say.
late.
Yes,
Sure is.
Are there any officers who
No.
have something
No.
that they must say?
If I would just like to give my report on the UCO reporter with Ruth's help. As of today, we have a bottom line, a plus side of $15,847. We have two people that have not paid. One is Kano Health and another one for $50, which has gone out of business.
Oh,
But Kano, under my direction, Chris sent Kano a bill today that he's being charged, they're being charged interest because it's over 60 days.
good.
all right.
Okay, and I'm gonna try to chase the guy that went out of business. Other than that, we're doing good.
Good.
Any other officer
No, I have
report?
nothing to say. I want to go. Do you have anything to say?
Hold on.
No,
No,
you can't.
Cam.
Ken?
Nah, I'm done for today.
Okay, any discussion?
No,
I still say you buy dinner.
no, let's go.
Discussion?
On that or something else,
No, open discussion.
open discussion,
Oh,
and I'm sure Joanne is very proficient. I would like her to make sure that in the minutes, Richard's interpretation of what we can do in the bylaws is
mention.
more than mentioned, put in, because I find it interesting that we agree with Richard on everything else except the treasury bills.
I'm sorry.
And I'd like you to put that into the bylaws.
I would make a suggestion that Richard write it up and it be added to as an addendum.
Richard did write it up. I hope you have a degree in hieroglyphics. Moving right along,
Okay, good.
I would entertain a motion.
I make a motion.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
I don't know, how anybody could have so much fun.